This episode is sponsored by Ridge. With Father's Day coming up fast, Ridge has the perfect gifts for your dad or yourself. Ridge wallets can take your wallet game to the next level. They're sleek, minimalist, and made with premium high-performance materials like carbon fiber, titanium, and stainless steel. Plus, a Ridge wallet is the best way to protect your own credit and debit cards with built-in RFID blocking technologies to stop digital pickpockets in their tracks. And right now, you can take advantage of Ridge's once-a-year Father's Day sale. Just go to ridge.com/command to get up to 40% off your order.
Greetings, humans. You have entered the Command Zone, your destination for all aspects of Elder Dragon Highlander. Enjoy your stay.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Command Zone podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Weeks.
It's me, Jimmy Wong.
And today we are talking about more commanders from Final Fantasy. There's a lot of them.
Yeah, we did a episode together, and it was a great one, but there were too many Final Fantasy commanders to talk about, so we're here to address hopefully the rest of the really exciting ones to build around from this brand new set that's coming out.
Let's jump right into it. Today we're talking about what we're calling the most iconic commanders in Final Fantasy. So these are the ones that are really popular characters, but may not have made the list for most popular,
Yes.
or excuse me, for most powerful.
Powerful, yeah.
Because
they're not Vivi.
There's some very powerful commanders in this set, but there's still some very powerful ones in this episode.
Yes.
Starting with this first one, which is a ton of fun, it's Choco, Seeker of Paradise.
Yeah, it's time for the Chocobos to make their
walk on in.
To work their way on in. I think they work.
They work?
Work is the noise they make.
Oh, that's the sound they make. I was
Yeah.
thinking walk.
Well, they do walk. They also run. And they occasionally fly, I think.
Do they?
Some of them may do, not the fat one. All right, Choco Seeker of Paradise. 1 green, white, and a blue for a 3/5 legendary creature. Bird Wark. Whenever one or more birds you control attack, look at that many cards from the top of your library. You may put one of them into your hand, then put any number of land cards from among them onto the battlefield tapped, and the rest into your graveyard. Whoa.
Yeah.
This also has landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, Choco gets +1/+0 until end of turn, and that is as the case on all of the 2/2 Chocobo creature tokens that also get made from the set.
Right. They all have this landfall ability.
Yes.
So this is a typal bird deck that uses this very powerful attack trigger to dig really deep, ramp really hard, and pump your whole team, assuming you're really leaning into the Chocobo side of things.
Yeah, not just that, but it also fills your graveyard.
They go to the graveyard?
Yeah, so there's a lot of parts about this that are really interesting. One, Choco itself does not need to attack in order to have this trigger. It can be any birds. Choco doesn't have flying, notably, so sometimes it may not be a good attack, but fortunately, every single bird on the planet otherwise usually does have flying, even if they don't exist. You look at that many cards, one of them into your hand, and then you can say, hey, all the rest of the lands, so you can get multiple lands off of this. I built this deck. I played it. I would say that in general, don't Magic Christmas Dreamland this. You're not getting like a 10 bird trigger off of this thing. I think reasonably, you're looking at 2 to 4.
Right.
But even then, pretty darn powerful.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
I played against this thing a couple of times now. It draws a lot of cards. It digs really deep, so it finds the perfect card for the situation and ramps you for the next turn. So
Yeah.
it's very snowbally. The more birds you get into play, the more cards you see, the more lands you get into play, the more
Yep.
birds you can cast,
If you
etc.
don't stop Choco early and it gets like 3 combats, it is going to be very hard to come back from,
It's
I
tough.
think. Yeah.
All right, let's get into the burbs. There are plenty of very good staple birds that you've, feel for fairly obvious, but we're going to mention them here. Birds of Paradise, of course, is the first card you add to this list.
Yes, this is an automatic, you must put this card in this deck because it can attack. It doesn't have Defender, notably, and it's 1 mana. Really important in Choco deck, you don't necessarily want to get this out on 3, but you do want to get as many birds on the battlefield beforehand so that when Choco lands, the birds that don't have something sickness can immediately trigger it.
Cheap birds, for sure.
Yeah, there's also Gilded Goose, which is a burb. Don't forget. Honk. Another really good one is Essior, Wardwing Familiar.
Yeah.
This is just great because it happens to be a bird, but it gives your commander essentially Ward 3 in a way. Spells your opponents cast that target warrior commanders you control cost 3 more to cast. And it's a 2-mana 1/3 bird.
Yeah.
That flies.
Another bird I like a lot is Mockingbird. This is one that I've thrown into a couple of decks. It's X and a blue for a 1/1 flying bird bard. It enters as a copy of any creature on the battlefield with mana value less than or equal to the amount of mana spent to cast Mockingbird, except it is a bird in addition to its other types and has flying.
Yeah.
So you can clone your opponent's Esper Sentinel, you can clone your own Birds of Paradise, you can clone any little creature that's on the battlefield, but it's still a bird to trigger Choco.
Yep, and the X cost means you also can pay 0 for X and just have this be a 1/1 flying bird if you just want more Choco triggers.
Yep, get it down fast.
If you're not going creatures that are cards, you can go creatures that are tokens. There's a wonderful Bant card that will probably go up in price, I would assume,
I would
because
think
of
so.
Choco. It's called Flurry of Wings. It's Bant, so green, white, blue. Instant, put X 1/1 white bird, soldier creature tokens with flying into play or on the battlefield, where X is the number of attacking creatures. So you can do this for yourself.
Yep.
It won't add to the trigger for Choco, but you can just have more birds for the next turn, or just wait if your opponent is attack heavy and put, 3, 4 birds in the battlefield, I think is what you're looking for here.
That's a pretty good rate.
Yeah, because especially that means 3 or 4 more cards with Choco the next turn.
Right. Migratory Root is the other one that I was looking at here. It's 3 white, blue for a sorcery that puts 4 white bird creature tokens with flying onto the battlefield, but it also has basic land cycling too. You shouldn't have trouble hitting your land drops in this deck, but I would think you want a decent density of them.
Yeah.
So making sure that you can have a lot of lands that you can hit, but you also have alternate ways to make sure you're hitting all of your land drops. It is going to be a little mana hungry. You do want to hit those land drops so you can trigger all your landfall abilities.
Yeah, this deck plays 40 lands, right?
I think so.
40 plus even.
Because if you hit more
NPCs.
lands off of your Choco trigger, that's only good. You just get more
Yeah.
lands into play. So I would think upping your land count for this one makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, notably cards that are spells on the front and lands on the back will not work for putting them into play with Choco, but the other way around does.
Right.
All right, this is Final Fantasy. There are Chocobos in the set that actually go
Lots.
very well with this deck. Traveling Chocobo, 2 in the green for a 3/2. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. And of course, you may play lands and cast bird spells from the top of your library. It's almost as though this card was meant to be in this deck. If a land or a bird you control entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. So 2X's on all your landfall triggers and anything else that happens to be with birds or lands specifically entering the battlefield.
Side quest Raise a Chocobo is a very powerful effect in a deck that is trying to dump birds onto the battlefield. This is a 2-mana green enchantment that when it enters, you make a 2/2 green bird creature token with, whenever a land enters the battlefield, this token gets +1/+0 until end of turn, the Chocobo text. And at the beginning of your first main phase, if you control 4 or more birds, transform this enchantment. And it flips into Black Chocobo, which basically gives all of your birds an additional instance of the landfall ability.
Yeah.
Turns all your birds into Chocobos.
And not just that, but when this transforms, you get to search for a land card. So it could be your Field of the Dead or whatever and put it on the battlefield tapped and shuffle. So it is a no restrictions land tutor. There's also Bart's and Boko, 3 green. It's got affinity for birds, so it costs 1 less for each bird you control for a 4/3. It's probably going to cost green. It's a human bird. It's a
human and a bird.
Yeah, human,
Comma bird.
yeah. When it enters, each other bird you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature and opponent control. So it's just a removal spell on top of being a bird creature in the deck.
Seems good.
Yep, very good.
There is plenty of bird typal support that already exists. You can go all the way back to, what is this, Onslaught?
Yeah, Onslaught.
That's got the creepy spider logo. It's Airborne Aid is 3 and a blue for a sorcery. It says draw a card for each bird in play. Not that you control. If your opponents have a stray birds of paradise, maybe they've got changeling floating
There you
around.
go, yeah.
You can draw off of theirs as
Yeah.
well. But mostly it draws you a lot of cards for a lot of birds.
Yeah, and you have to play this because it's just so
Come on.
thematic, yeah. Seaside Haven is a land that taps to add colorless, or white and blue tap, sack a bird, draw a card. Hooray! Winged Portent is a really fun one. It's a 1 blue instant with cleave. You may cast it for 4 green instead of 1 blue. Draw a card for each creature with flying you control. If you cast it for 6 mana, it's just draw a card for each creature you control. But for 1 blue, draw a card for each. That's almost as good as Airborne Aid in a lot of cases, as long as you don't have too many land grounded chocos.
Those chocobos are gonna won't count for this.
Yeah.
But you could, if you have a lot of mana from getting a lot of lands, you can of course draw a ton of cards off of your winged.
Unless you have Wonder in the graveyard,
There you
the
go.
choco's gonna get it there.
This is also a lands deck. You're putting a lot of lands into play all at once. You could lean heavily into the bird typal support, running like your Castrels and your Kangis, or you can sort of balance balance things with landfall type effects. So you could run your tireless provisioners that just are good in lands decks.
Yeah.
Or if you want to keep it more thematic, something like an Emeria Angel, which has landfall, make a bird.
Yep.
It's perfect.
It's perfect. Mary Angel is very good in this deck. You also have Felidar Retreat, which just makes Cat Beast, or you can put 1/1 counters on each creature you control. And then there is a great card from the set called Chocobo Racetrack that's kind of like Zendikar's Royal. But this is Chocobos. So it's 3 green artifact with landfall. Whenever a land enters, you make a 2/2 green bird creature token with that nice +1/+0 landfall ability.
You can make a lot of birds with this thing. And like I said, very snowball-y. The more lands you get into play, the more birds you get, the more birds you attack with on the next turn. That's Choco. I expect this one to be very popular.
Yes.
It's powerful, it's cute, it's fun.
It's advanced, it's got good colors. You can guarantee to hit all your land drops in a deck like this.
We're going to be talking about a lot more beloved legendary creatures from Final Fantasy in this episode. But if you want to build any of the decks that we are talking about, you can support the show while you're shopping by going to cardkingdom.com/command. Card Kingdom has all of the cards for pre-order right now. You can get any of the precons, you can get any of the singles. If you're as excited about Final Fantasy as we are around the office, there's a lot of really powerful cards. Make sure that you know what cards you want from Final Fantasy. I know it was overwhelming. It was a long preview season, but you can start looking at picking out cards for your decks and making a big list, because then you can order at Card Kingdom all in one place and all of those cards will come to you all at the same time. It's nice when you've got a deck you're really excited about that you can expect those cards to show up on your doorstep all in one safe single package. Again, you're supporting the show if you use our affiliate link over at cardkingdom.com/command.
And then walk, don't fly to ultrapro.com/command. They'll fly the cards to you. I mean, they may fly also their amazing protective gear at Ultra Pro. So we've got sleeves, deck boxes, binders, and more. Recently, product from Final Fantasy has been going around from Ultra Pro. I guarantee you these will be hot sellers on the Ultra Pro website. So make sure you have that website bookmarked, ultrapro.com/command, also on their newsletter to make sure that you're there on day 1, minute 1, second 1 when those products come out so you can order them, because Ultra Pro has the license for the official Magic art, the Final Fantasy art, all that good stuff. And I think this is, of any time to buy product from Ultra Pro, this feels like a very good one for a lot of players, especially new players getting into the game. There's no better way to get someone really excited, I think, especially someone that's excited for the Final Fantasy stuff, to also get them that matching awesome embossed binders or the cool deck boxes with Sephiroth or Cloud on them.
That's cool.
I'm excited for it. Even if I don't have a Final Fantasy deck, I just kind of want this product. ultrapro.com/command has all of that, and they also have great deals on old product as well. So you can find some amazing stuff there. Guaranteed there's going to be something on there that whets your appetite. So go to ultrapro.com/command for all of your Magic accessory needs.
The final way to support us is directly over at patreon.com/command-zone. If you join our community, you can hang out in our Discord, talk to me, Jimmy, Josh, all of our members of the staff, or just members of our community who are talking about these precons, who are talking about Final Fantasy, what they're building, how they're building it. You can be a part of that conversation by joining our Patreon. Plus, there's additional perks at other tiers. Go check out patreon.com/command-zone for all of that information. Plus, we shout out one lucky patron every single podcast episode, and this one is dedicated to Timothy Mayer. Timothy, you rock.
You are the true mayor of Value Town.
Hey, the mayor of this episode,
You've
that's
never
for sure.
heard that one either.
All right, we're moving on to Sid, Timeless Artificer. This one is a bit of a unique card.
Yeah, we have to read it kind of sucks that we have to read the same card 16 times in a row.
I know, we have to, well, there's
let's
15.
start it off. 15, sorry.
Yeah.
Let's start it off right. Here's Sid, Timeless Artificer, version 1.
From Final Fantasy II, it's 2, a white and a blue from a legendary creature, Human Artificer. He's a 4/4. It says artifact creatures and heroes you control get +1/+1 for each artificer you control and each artificer in your graveyard.
Whoa.
A deck can have any number of cards named Sid, Timeless Artificer, and it has cycling for a white and a blue.
All right.
So if you have a Sid on the battlefield and a couple Sids in your graveyard, all of your artifact creatures, all of your artificers are going to get a little boost.
Yeah, so let's show all of the different Sids. Sid is the character that reappears in every single Final Fantasy. Typically, he's the airship engineer, the guy that builds the airship.
This is a very interesting card because he's a legendary creature that you can run any number of copies, but he doesn't solve his own legendary rule.
Yeah, you can't
have multiple Sids in play at a given time, which makes sense. He's a specific guy.
Yeah.
So if you're going to build this deck, you do kind of need to either solve that problem or lean into that problem.
Yes, there's plenty of ways to solve it, fortunately.
Yeah. Yeah. I do want to mention this. So there's 15 different arts. They're all from different Final Fantasies. They're very cute. They all range in prices. So if you're building a Sid deck, it may get a little on the pricier side, especially if you want one of each.
If you built a Nazgul deck, you know the same issue with the different arts and all that stuff. It's going to be one of those uncommons where you open it and you go, oh, wow, I actually didn't realize how rare it is to open one of these. So keep those around in draft and all that stuff.
Definitely.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into it. There's a couple different ways that you can build Sid. I think the first and sort of most obvious way to build him is with artifact creatures. So you build an artifact creature heavy deck that runs a couple of Sids, maybe just like the 15, and uses Sid to fill up your graveyard and as an anthem effect. You can cycle them away when they're not relevant early, and then once you draw another one, you can play it and bump your
and then boom,
buff
your whole team
your
gets
whole
+5 or whatever.
Yeah. And in the meantime, he's just cool and flavorful. So anything we talk about in this artifact creature type of section is also relevant if you're building around heroes. That isn't particularly well supported at this time. There's a couple of commanders that make hero tokens, like Grahatia, which we'll talk about a little bit later. I assume they will be more supported once we get into Marvel and that kind of thing.
Interesting. Yeah, that makes sense.
Like as a hero becomes a more relevant type.
Changelings also count for heroes, right?
They do, but that's a pretty niche build at this time. So we're going to talk mostly about the artifact creatures side of things. Commanders that I could expect to see in the command zone for this, because I don't know if Sid actually goes in the command zone.
I don't think so either until, again, maybe more heroes and stuff come out.
Right.
But yeah, I could see Sid being a cool, otherwise also if it Sid's in the command zone, are you trying to run 30 of them or are you just trying to run the base 15?
Yeah, I mean, that seems crazy to me. 34 drops that you're planning to cycle away is
so great.
Unless you have a specific plan outside of this.
Sid.
Look, who knows? There's going to be some crazy builds around this card.
Actually, no, he doesn't even buff himself, right?
Is it other artificers?
Artifact creatures and heroes you control. He's just a human artificer, yeah.
He does not buff himself.
He doesn't buff himself, yeah.
So I was looking at just more classic artifact creature type of builds.
Yeah.
There's a couple of Urzas that work this way. Urza, Prince of Krug, just is an anthem effect for your artifact creatures. So that's sort of right in line with what we're talking about. Or Urza, Chief Artificer. This is the Esper one that has affinity for artifact creatures. So it's also trying to have a lot of artifact creatures on the board.
Gives them menace and gives you constructs. And those I've seen take over a lot of different games.
The other direction you can go if you're leaning into artifact creatures is, of course, vehicles. So you could do something with Kotori Pilot Prodigy. I've seen people doing stuff with Shorakai because he can loot Sids into the graveyard and draw more cards. If you're building Shorakai sort of more around vehicles, sometimes it's a control engine. It does a lot of different things.
Yeah, and I will say, too, every single time that we do a Universes Beyond, we see more and more vehicles. And with Death Race, the set, Aetherdrift, it would appear that Wizards is very interested in continuing to just create more vehicles.
Right.
So vehicles is going to be a very supported archetype into the future, so I do like that direction as well.
Yeah, there's a couple of options. We're going to talk sort of generally about some powerful artifact creatures. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of different ways you can go. In these colors, you can talk about Baleful Strixes and Esper Sentinels are obviously very good ones to be
Esper
buffed.
Sentinel pays 7, whatever.
Esper Sentinel buffed by various Sids seems very strong. Smuggler's Copter is just a ridiculous threat if it's buffed. So I think there's a lot of different things you can do. This will look more typical, Urza Prince of Krug, I think, is a great model for what to look at, what kind of deck list to look at if you're going in this direction.
Yeah. Very good.
The other way you can build this that I think is very interesting is cycling.
Yeah, so having the ability to cycle stuff constantly is pretty good given the support cycling's had in the past.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a super high density of cycling cards that work well together.
Yeah.
Cycling cards all kind of do random different things. It's whenever you cycle, make a thing, or whenever you cycle, I get flying. And
or put a counter on something.
So they're all sort of unrelated. But if you can put a bunch of Sids that sort of synergize together into a cycling deck, then you really change how the cycling deck has a lot of natural synergy. Gavi Nestwarden is sort of most iconic cycling commander that we have at this moment, and her ability is very good with a ton of Sids in the 99.
Yeah, you pay 0 rather than the first cycling cost of the first card you cycle each turn, so you could cycle 4 times per turn cycle if you have a high enough density. and it's Jeskai, so you also get the addition of red into it.
Yeah, I think if I was building Gavi, I would up the number of Sids. I would probably play closer to like 25 or 30.
Wow, full blown. That's like all the creatures in your deck are
Like
Sids at that point.
many. And it's mostly because you can probably lower your land count.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the deck, I would lean into sort of like an Astral Slide, Astral Drift plan. Both of those cards say whenever you cycle a card, you can blink a thing. That it could be yours, it could be your opponent's. But with Gavi and sort of a reliable army of cyclers that you can keep getting back and work really well in the graveyard, I think that's like a very strong engine. So I would look at like ETB artifact creatures that you can buff with Sids in the graveyard, and then other combos with Astral Drift and Astral Slide.
Yeah, you have a lot of good stuff to blink in blue and white especially. Solemn Simulacrum, get a bunch of lands. Thought Monitor, draw a bunch of cards. Angel of the Ruins, blow up a bunch of stuff.
Rude.
It is Jeskai though, so you will have, I think like the land thing in Jeskai is always interesting to me. It's very hard to get a bunch of lands in the play with Jeskai. So that is something where Gavi being at 5 means
That's
that you
true.
do
That's a
have to
lot.
make this very consistently be able to get to Gavi, and then you're online.
New Perspectives is a sort of an alternate version of Gavi's effect. When it enters, you draw 3 cards as a 6-mana blue enchantment. But as long as you have 7 or more cards in hand, you can also pay 0 rather than paying cycling costs.
Woo.
So now you can really churn through your library because it's not limited to once per turn like Gavi
you just get
is.
7 in your hand.
Yeah, as soon as you get 7 in your hand, you can cycle every Sid that you come across for free and keep churning through your deck.
Yeah.
So
Pretty sick.
there's definitely a very dynamic cycling deck that uses Sid as the primary engine.
Okay, now we have another really interesting, very brewy Rachel thing here.
This is a mess, but it's cool.
5-color Sid now.
I think 5 colors for sure. Because I really want I want to put Gavi in the 99, and I want to put sort of lots of things that care about having multiple
Names.
of the same card,
Yeah.
right? Bloodbond March was the one that really stuck out to me. This is an enchantment for 2, a black and a green, that says whenever a creature spell is played, is cast, each player returns all cards with the same name as that spell from their graveyard to play.
Whoa. So you cycle a bunch of Sids, you play 1 Sid, they all come back.
They all come back, and unless you have a way to fix it, they all die.
Right, so Mirror Box, Mirror Gallery are the legendary rule, don't apply.
But also it gives you a ton of like ETBs, it gives you a ton of dies. Even if you don't have a way to like fix the legendary problem,
Right.
you can still like cast one thing, get 5 things from the graveyard, they all die immediately. You get 5 historic ETBs, you get 5 creature ETBs, you get 5 dies triggers.
Yeah.
If you have something like a Conrad, you get 5 leaves the battlefield and dies triggers.
Cool.
So you can put together this sort of very glass cannon but powerful engine using Bloodbond March and Sid.
Yeah, and there's a lot of cards that are just completely unplayable normally in Commander because it cares about having the same name of stuff. So Nantuko Shrine is 1 green. Whenever a player casts a spell, that player puts X1/1 green squirrel tokens into play, or X the number of cards in all graveyards with the same name as that spell.
Cool.
Echoing Return is 1 black for a sorcery. Return target creature card and all other cards with the same name as that card from your graveyard to your hand.
Nice.
So that plus
the new
perspectives.
That's
Woo!
cool. You return them all to your hand, you cycle them all for free. Like, I don't know what you're doing, but it's sick.
That's cool. Locket of Yesterday makes our Sids cost blue-white, essentially. 1 mana artifact. Spells you cast cost 1 less to play for each card with the same name as that spell in your graveyard.
Now they cost as much to cast as they do to cycle. Is very strange.
Yeah, so this is crazy now, because you could just be like, I don't care about the legendary rule. It's fine that they all die with Bloodbond March. Or you could say, no, I do want all my Sids in play. Mirror Gallery, Mirror Box, Sakashima of 1,000 Faces. Sakashima might be a really good commander in here if you can figure out a way to get the other colors with a partner, right?
Right. I mean, I think Sakashima as the commander, and then if you try and do like... I think you need 4 colors minimum, because the Bloodbond March, I think, is the most powerful thing. Like the thing I'm most interested in doing, I guess.
Yeah.
Like you could do Sakashima with a like green-white commander, like a
Flying-ish?
Sidar Kondo.
Oh, Sidar Kondo, yeah. Can't be blocked.
And then you're in Bant, but you can't do the Bloodbond March
Can't
type
do the
thing.
black stuff, yeah. Echoing Return.
So the Echoing Return seems very cool. So it's pretty tricky to assemble. You could just throw Atraxa in the command zone.
Atraxa, all colors but red.
The 5-color one that I was looking at works a little bit less well than I thought it did.
Yeah.
It's the 5 5-color allies
Do you know
guy.
Tazri?
Tazri. So
Yeah.
there is a Tazri that cares about activated abilities.
Oh, interesting.
So
and cycling is an activated ability.
cycling
right?
is an activated ability, but I found out that you can't use Tazri's first ability that allows you to tap creatures with abilities to pay for cycling costs, which makes it
close.
significantly worse. But you can like pay Wooburg and mill 5 cards and get a bunch of Sids to your hand. So I guess that's like some amount of synergy.
Synergy.
Anyway,
Sid's got a lot of really fun stuff, though.
there's
is sort
some
of what we're
wacky
going at.
stuff going on with Sid, and I'm very curious to see how this guy gets built. Because
I would
there's a lot
love
of
to
oops.
hear how you in the comments are going to build Sid. I'm sure there's something that we didn't think about, or
Yeah.
Rachel in this case didn't think about. But this seems like a brewer's paradise. It's just got a lot of interesting stuff there. You could do Sid and his multiverse heroes.
Yeah.
Spider-Man comes out in his type hero or whatever.
Look, I like anything that doesn't answer all the questions for me. It's like, what are you going to do with this like legendary thing that you have 15, 20 of? That's an interesting question.
All right.
So the next one we're going to talk about, we don't usually talk about face commanders of precons very often because we spend a whole episode talking about their precon. But in this case, because the precons are like $150 and are difficult to get your hands on, if you want to just pick up the single for Cloud X Soldier, we're going to talk about how you can build that deck.
Yeah, and I will say in the deck tech for Cloud X Soldier, there were a lot of cards that we didn't list from the actual set.
Right.
Which actually would go great in a full-blown Cloud X Soldier deck.
Right. All right,
So
let's get
now
into
we're,
it.
Like getting into it. It's Cloud X Soldier 2 and red, green, white. For a 4/4 with haste, he's a human soldier mercenary and a hero in my eyes. When Cloud enters, attach up to one target equipment you control to it, and then whenever Cloud attacks, draw a card for each equipped attacking creature you control. Then if Cloud has power 7 or greater, you create 2 treasure tokens.
Okay.
Ding, ding, ding.
So the big thing that I was focusing around when I was looking at Cloud is this auto equip ability.
Yeah.
This is a hasty attacker that equips for free and can slam in with powerful equipment. So I wanted to start by looking at like big splashy equipment that you feel impactful enough that are worth that equip.
And get him to 7.
That was the other thing is like the perfect number for him is of course 7, so you can be get the treasure ability. So I was looking at anything that gives him +3, and appropriately, the Buster Sword gives him +3/+2.
Yeah, and it also, when it deals combat damage, so Cloud doesn't need to deal combat damage for the other things, right?
Right.
It just draws and
Yeah,
gets
those
the
are
treasures.
attack ones. Yeah.
But if you do combat damage with the Buster Sword, 3 mana to play, 2 mana to equip, +3/+2, you draw a card, and then you may cast a spell from your hand with mana value less than or equal to the damage that you just dealt without paying its mana cost. So it could be a 7-drop.
Yeah.
Could be less.
I mean, that's pretty serious. That is the kind of thing that will force somebody to chump block.
Oh,
if you
yeah.
play the Buster Sword, play Cloud, pick it up immediately, come in for 7, and you're going to cast a free spell and draw a card, they're going to have to figure out what to do about that.
And make him dual wield, because if you
Yeah.
have Hero's Blade on the battlefield, it'll auto-equip too, so you get a Buster Sword in one hand and a Hero's Blade, which is the Buster Sword.
Which is also the Buster Sword
So
if
he's
you have the...
dual-wielding busties. And yeah, that's great because even if Cloud isn't your only legendary creature in there, Hero's Blade just does work in decks like this.
Yeah, I like Hero's Blade because you just play it and he picks it up and it gives you room to equip something else and it automatically gets to that 7 power ability.
The Cloud deck also wants multiple creatures attacking in because you get to draw cards for each of them. So you do want to have, it's not just purely built around Cloud.
Right. Ace's Baseball Bat is another one I was looking at. It's 2 mana for a legendary artifact equipment. An equipped creature gets +3/+0. Perfect. As long as the equipped creature is attacking, it has first strike and must be blocked by a Dalek if able. Ooh.
Dalek,
And
exterminate.
equipped legendary creature 1. So this is just going to give him first strike, which is nice because I found in decks like this, if somebody has like 1 Death Toucher or something,
Oh, yeah, you
you're just
cannot ever hit
hosed.
them.
You just can't attack them at
yeah,
all. And so this is easy to equip to the other creatures that you're putting in this kind of deck and gives you the +3 boost that get them right to 7.
Yeah, I like that. You also have Enduru, Flame of the West, which is cool. This is Aragorn's sword. It's 3 mana and 2 to equip. Gives creature +3/+1. And when it attacks, you create 2 tapped 1/1 white spirit creature tokens with flying. If the creature was legendary, which Cloud is, those are tapped and attacking instead.
Yeah, gives you additional bodies. It's a very powerful attack trigger. You don't have to pay the equip cost on it, which is nice. So I think anything that has this sort of powerful effect and gets you the treasures back is going to be even better in a Cloud type deck.
Yeah.
If 7 power is not big enough, you can play some bigger equipment. You can Colossus Hammer comes in the precon, so if you want to pick up that specific printing, you can get one with, this is Kate Sith.
Yeah, Kate Sith holding the big Megaton-ish hammer.
Big ol' hammer.
+10/+10, loses flying. Equip cost 8, but that's 0 with Cloud around.
That's a big cloud.
Yeah.
That's a Storm Cloud.
And there's also infinite number of cards now you can play that auto-equip or
Right.
make equip cost 0 in case Cloud dies or you want to equip this to something else.
Right, because it's only an ETB that you get that auto-equip.
Yeah.
Excalibur, Sword of Eden.
Oh, this card gets better with every set now.
This is an Assassin's Creed card for 12 mana. It's a legendary artifact equipment. It costs X less to cast, where X is the total mana value of historic permanents you control. Great. Legendaries, equipment, all cast.
All your equipment. There's a good chance this costs 0
Absolutely.
in your deck. I've seen it happen many times.
Then equipped creature gets +10 and has vigilance. Equipped legendary creature 2. Again, that's just huge. That is a problem that your opponents have to deal with immediately.
Yeah. If you want to go with the Barrett card from the deck, it's Wrecking Ball Arm. Equip legendary creature for 3. It gives your equipped creature base power 7/7, and it can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. So it's really good against the decks that can chump block Cloud.
Argentum Armor, I think, is sort of one of the more classic, like big, powerful equipments. Ignore that hefty equip 6 cost. It says whenever a equipped creature attacks, destroy target permanent. Equipped creature gets +6/+6.
He's huge.
This is an expensive equipment. It's harder to get down before you play Cloud, but if you want to play highly impactful equipments, this is one of the ones you're going to look at as well.
In this deck, you are playing Forge Anew, you're playing all of the equip cost 0/1. So I think like without those cards, equipment decks get way, way, way worse. Your inventory managements and all that. So you do run a certain amount of those. But again, now it's the classic equipment deck problem too, which is not enough creatures, too many equipment, and too many things that care about equipment. You're like 3 steps removed from just having a creature that can hold something to attack.
Right. And that's sort of what I was thinking when we move on to this next section, which I'm calling Equipped Friends.
Yay!
I really like living weapons style stuff in this deck because they're big, impactful equipment that he can auto-equip, but they also come attached to a creature. So it helps your density of both creatures and equipment. Hexblade Wall Breaker is one that I've included in a lot of decks lately.
Yeah, For Mirrodin is the name of this before Barrett came along and just cared about Rebels. But it does make Rebels, so you can even keep it in theme. This gives you extra combats.
Yeah.
It comes in for 5 mana as a 4/4.
Glimmerlens comes in. It also is for Mirrodin, makes yourself a rebel, and whenever a equipped creature and another creature attack, you draw a card. So this is just tidy little 2-mana thing that comes in with a draw engine.
And there's a bunch of equipment from the main set.
This is from Final Fantasy
This is from
14
Ishtola,
Precon,
but there's a lot of them that have job select on them, which is, it's like comes in and creates a 1/1 hero, and then it auto-equips to it. So Dancer's Chakrams gives it +2/+2 lifelink, and other commanders you control get +2/+2 and have lifelink.
Nice.
And it's equipped 3. So Cloud won't be a 7 with that, but there's a chance that you have a smaller equipment or something on him that only gives him +1 or +2, and this can just get him over the edge.
Yeah. Some amount of those kind of living weapon style equipments go a long way, especially when you're trying to go wide with equipped creatures.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you want a ton of the legendary creatures from the main set and from the other precons, or even from the Cloud precon, which you can buy singles of, hopefully at a much cheaper price than the whole deck.
Yeah. You got to play the other Cloud in here, Cloud Midgar Mercenary.
Gotta have Cloud Midgar Mercenary. He is going to be a little spendy.
His arms look so nice in that picture. I hope the editors know which version I'm talking about, but his arms probably look good in all of them.
Yeah. There's some where he definitely doesn't show his arms, so I think they'll be able to figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, just look at any of the red-white equipment decks. You'll find a lot of cards that work really well in this. You have to play your Piersteel Paladins, your Stram Cedar Edificers.
Yeah. I think with a tipping toward legendary is going to make a lot of the equipment that we talked about earlier work better.
Yeah.
So like playing SRAM, playing Cloud, playing Barrett, these legendaries that sort of go well with Cloud naturally. But looking in the main set, I really like Freya Crescent.
Oh yeah, it's quite sweet.
It's cool. It's a single red mana for a 1/1 rat knight, but during your turn, Freya has flying. It also says tap, add red. Spend this mana only to cast an equipment spell or activate an equip ability. So this is a mana creature with evasion that helps you equip stuff, and it's cheap. It just does so much in this kind of deck and is going to go a long way toward your synergy.
Yep. And then Assassin's Creed has a bunch of good equipment stuff too. Cassandra Eagle Bear allows you to search up the Spear of Leonidas, which is a sweet card. Just has a bunch of stuff on it. We won't read it now, so we don't bore you.
But it gives you a legendary creature, and it gives you an equipment. All of that is going to go a long way toward tightening up the screws on this Cloud deck. We have a lot of exciting new legends to talk about. We really tried to focus on ones that people were excited about. So hopefully we will hit every single legendary creature that you're stoked about in this episode. But first, we have a few words from our sponsors. Come on. I know there's a generous gift in here somewhere.
Struggling on Arena?
No, I'm struggling on Father's Day shopping. Why is this always impossible?
I get it. Us dads, we're hard to shop for. But as a father, I do know something that will make a great gift this year. A brand new Ridge wallet.
Oh, yeah.
I use mine every day, and it's been perfect. Ridge wallets are sleek, minimalist, and a huge upgrade from the bulky mess I had before. Plus, they're stronger too, made from premium materials like carbon fiber and stainless steel. They come in over 50 different colors and styles, so you can match to any dad's taste. And you'll be giving them some extra security, because all Ridge wallets have RFID blocking technology to protect from digital pickpockets.
This is perfect. Thanks, Jimmy. But crap!
What happened? Computer problems?
Crater hoof problems. I already bought that wallet while you were talking.
Right now, just in time for Father's Day, Ridge is having a huge sale. Get up to 40% off your order at ridge.com/command. Just head to ridge.com/command to find the perfect gift for dad or yourself. When you check out, they'll ask where you heard about them, so please support the show and tell them we sent you. Give dad the upgrade he deserves this year.
Welcome, cast fans. Tygam Master Opportunist here from the hit meditation podcast, Just Sky's the Limit. I know I appear calm and collected now, but when I first started casting, running a business felt overwhelming. Thank goodness I found Shopify, who helped me manage a flurry of questions and challenges so I could focus on getting out 2 casts a turn. Week. With Shopify, there's no reason to suspend your dreams of starting a business. They have true mastery when it comes to managing inventory, shipping, returns, and more. Plus, they can aid you with tools such as ready-to-use templates for your online store. It's like you have a whole monastery of marketing monks on your side, ready to easily create social media campaigns with unmatched commercial prowess. Shopify is the platform behind 10% of e-commerce in the US, including my hated rivals, the Command Zone. They just make good stuff. So take it from a master opportunist. With Shopify, your opportunity is now.
Turn your big business idea into... with Shopify on your side. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/TCZ. Go to shopify.com/TCZ. Again, shopify.com/TCZ.
We're giving away new Xboxes!
Multiples!
Wait, what? We're a Magic channel.
Well, with video games and Magic colliding in Final Fantasy, we're celebrating the set's release by giving away consoles and cards live on Whatnot.
That's right, you could win a new Xbox, a Final Fantasy Collector Booster Box, and more when you join us live tomorrow, June 13th at 2 p.m. Pacific.
Plus, the stream is part of a 2-part event with...
The Professor!
He'll be live right before us, so that is 2 streams in a row full of gigantic gaming giveaways.
That's what I call GG.
Jeez.
And when you sign up at whatnot.com/invite/command, you get $15 free to use anywhere on the platform.
And you can spend it on whatever you want. I mean, with $15, it's like they're handing you some booster packs just for joining. So if you haven't signed up with our link, you really are just missing out on free cards.
If you want to join the fun and maybe win a booster box or a brand new Xbox, go sign up at our link, then join us tomorrow, June 13th at 2 p.m. Pacific.
And don't forget to check out Profit an hour before at 1 p.m.
Again, that's whatnot.com/invite/command to get those 15 free bucks and bookmark the stream so you don't miss it.
We'll see you there.
1 fish, 2 fish, red fish, clue fish.
Dr. Seuss?
No, I'm working on Morph on Fish Typal. Just want to make sure I have enough fish to actually draw some.
Oh, well, you should use Archidect's Hypergeometric Calculator. See? Archidect makes it easy to check your chances of drawing what you need, whether it's a certain creature type, mana value, or category of cards, like ramp or draw spells. I use it to check my land count. See, in this deck, you only have a 61% chance of drawing 3 lands by turn 2. Might be a little low.
Okay, I'll cut a basic or 2.
Wait, you mean add?
Nope, I've got a reputation to uphold. Archidect is the best place to browse, brew, and playtest commander decks. Just go to archidect.com/command zone to get started.
That's ARCHIDEKT.com/command zone.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We were talking about the most iconic commanders from Final Fantasy.
Hopefully seeing some classics that you know and love from various Final Fantasy games. Before we jump back into it, we do want to mention that Game Nights Live is coming up, at MagicCon Las Vegas.
Yeah.
June 20th is our show. We're at 4 p.m. on the Mana stage. We're going to be doing it upright. We've got great guests. We've got a big show.
Voxy and the Professor.
Yeah, we've got a school-themed show built around like the Tolarian Community College. So we've made schools for Jimmy, Josh, and Voxy. So we've got some very neat theming. And MagicCon is always a huge blast. If you don't have your tickets yet, make sure you get them.
There's a link in the show notes. Please use that.
If you come to the show, then great. Say hi. We'll enjoy that. But we'll also have signings on Saturday and Sunday as well. We're doing a pentathlon on Sunday with Loading Ready Run. So lots of cool opportunities to check out at MagicCon. Come hang out with us.
Yeah, and always to note, if you have a Friday badge, you can make it to see the show with just that badge or a weekend pass. If you only have like a day Saturday badge, you won't be able to come on that Friday. So in order to go see Game Nights Live, you need that. Just have a badge that enters you into the con on that Friday.
Right.
No other costs. Make sure you get there early if you want to get a seat. A lot of people usually will sit for the panel beforehand and then just remain there until the Game Nights Live show starts. It's a blast. People always tell us that's their favorite part of the convention.
Yeah, it's my favorite part.
Final Fantasy related.
It is.
We are going to be playing Final Fantasy Commanders. It's a Final Fantasy convention, so it's going to be a bunch of fun.
All right, let's jump back into it with these Final Fantasy commanders. We're talking about Emmett Silk of the Third Seat.
Yeah, 2 a blue and a black for a 3/4 Elder Wizard. Spells you cast from your graveyard cost 2 less to cast. And whenever one or more opponents lose life, you may cast target instant or a sorcery spell from your graveyard if that spell will be put into your graveyard exile. Instead, do this only once each turn.
Okay.
So losing life, damage, paying life, anything that takes your life total down is losing life, basically.
Absolutely. So this is probably a graveyard-focused Spellslinger style deck that uses some amount of pingers to recur instants and sorceries from your graveyard, but you could build it around sort of any permanent that you like to cast out of the graveyard. We're going to focus largely on Spellslinger with a little bit of talk about artifacts. But first I want to talk about the keywords to keep an eye out for if you want stuff that synergizes with Emmett Silk's first ability.
Yes.
So all of these cards are just sort of examples of these keywords, but first you want to make sure that the keyword you're finding allows you to cast from the graveyard. It isn't an activated ability from the graveyard.
Yep.
So yes, good ones are Aftermath, like the one on Commit to Memory.
Yep.
Escape, like on Cling to Dust. Flashback, like on Deep Analysis. Harmonize, like on the new Winter Night stories from Tarkir Dragonstorm. Disturb is a weird one. You can cast stuff from their backside out of your graveyard. Jumpstart, Chemist's Insight, or Retrace, like Una's Grace. Will all give you a cast from the graveyard and are reduced by Emmett Silk's first ability.
Yep.
Ones that are not reduced are Unearth, Encore, Eternalize, and Embalm. All of those are activated abilities from the graveyard, not cast.
Yeah, they'll take them out of your graveyard. It's not like you're casting them. Malevolent Hermit also is a creature, so that won't synergize with the instant and sorcery part. But
Yeah,
it's
but
just
it'll still get
spells,
reduced.
yeah, you cast from your graveyard. So as you can tell, Emmett Silk is already a very powerful commander. Anytime you can use your graveyard as your hand, imagine that. You can mill into it. And also, opponents just incidentally losing life allows you to just randomly grab something from your graveyard. So you can hold up so much mana open and opponents really won't know what you're going to do with it.
Absolutely. It's also going to be very tough for them to sort of parse what you have access to. You'll have a lot of cards in your graveyard, and some things you can cast with flashback, and then if they take life, you cast anything. It is going to be a tricky deck to pilot and a tricky deck to play against, which makes it very interesting, in my opinion. So here's some other ways that allow you to cast spells from the graveyard sort of as a blanket effect. Because the pingers are something that you don't necessarily have a ton of control over.
Yeah.
Lear, Disciple of the Drowned, is nice. You can always cast your spells from your graveyard. It does say spells can't be countered, so if you're playing a hard control strategy, probably not Lear.
Yeah, because you can't counter stuff as
Right.
well. Snapcaster Mage is just grab something from your graveyard and you can cast it, giving it flashback. Again, we talked about that being one of the things that works with this. Gale Waterdeep Prodigy. This is sort of like the very stormy version where you cast something from your hand and then you can cast something from your graveyard. Again, you're going to be exiling stuff when you do this, so make sure it counts.
If you do want to lean into the artifact side of things, stuff like Emery Lurker of the Lock is very cool. There's also creature versions of that kind of effect with Osteomancer Adept, which allows you to cast creatures from your graveyard if you have foraged.
Yep.
Or if you want to lean into zombies, there's a lot of ways to cast zombies from your graveyard. Zul Escher Lich Lord is pretty cool. So if that's kind of an off-kilter build of Emmet Selk, but is a neat idea.
Yeah, we do love some neat ideas. All right, stuff is leaving your graveyard. There are some payoffs for it. Taval's Judgment is a new one from Tarkir Dragonstorm. It's 2 in the black enchantment. Whenever one or more cards leave your graveyard, choose one that hasn't been chosen this turn. You can draw a card, make a treasure token, or make a 2/2 black zombie druid creature token.
Nice.
So yeah, considering this might be able to trigger each turn cycle, you could get 3 cards off it. There's a lot you can do here.
Yeah, this seems like a very powerful enhancer type of card. Anytime you cast a spell with flashback, it leaves the graveyard and triggers this thing.
Yeah, also if you like delve something away, Taval's
also
Judgment will count, yeah.
All right, so there's a lot of payoffs for that kind of thing. This is a powerful effect and it's very open-ended. So there's not a lot, like we can point you in directions, but giving you very like prescriptive things to put into your deck is pretty tricky with a card like this.
Yep.
But if you're leaning into the instance and sorcery side of it, like we recommend, then you probably want some amount of pingers that are making sure that your opponents are losing life when you want them to be losing life.
Yeah, you don't necessarily want to rely on the fact that, oh, my opponents can just decide not to swing at each other and completely shut down that part of my deck. So having some amount of a bunch of 1-drops, for instance, and playing Vohar, which seems like the perfect card in this deck,
you would take a million Vohars. If there were 10 Vohars, you would play all 10.
Yeah, it's a blue-black 1/2 looter. You draw, then discard. If you discard an instant or sorcery, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. So that's 3 life lost around the table.
Yeah, whatever you discard costs 2 less. You can cast a 3-drop for 1 mana immediately.
Yeah.
Assuming it only has 1 pip.
Yeah.
You can also sacrifice the Vohar to cast an instant or sorcery from your graveyard this turn. If that spell would be put into your graveyard exile and instead activate only as a sorcery. So if you don't control your commander, this also lets you cast instants and sorceries from your graveyard.
Yeah.
Whenever I get a chance to put this card into a deck, I do. It's Quambaj Witches. This is a black very human wizard. It's a 1/3. You can tap the witches to deal 1 damage to any target and 1 damage to any target of an opponent's choice.
Hey, would you look at that?
So you can ping an opponent and you can let an opponent choose where the other ping goes. It might go at your face, but you could also work together.
Yep.
So I like that one. It enables you to cast spells from your graveyard.
Yep. Talion the Kindly Lord, you're choosing a number, and then whenever an opponent casts a spell with that mana value, power, or toughness equal to the number, then they lose 2 life and you draw a card. What was the number that they said was the best? 2?
2.
Yeah, 2.
You're in less control with Talion. Obviously, you can't tap it and do it whenever you want, but it could trigger repeatedly, and this also draws you cards in the meantime. So there's a lot of upside with Talion.
Yeah, there's also a bunch of cards in the main set that make black mages that will also ping.
That
or
too.
Not ping, they'll drain whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, or just non-creature, I think, actually. So you can take a look at that as well. But yeah, Emmet Selk, very powerful, very open-ended about what direction you want to take it. You can go more control-y, or you can sort of build up for your big X kill everyone spell, like Sanguinate type stuff, Cover the Pale Fire. Or you can just be the deck that plays a bunch of just really cheap cantrips and then gets cool value from getting stuff for your graveyard. There's a lot of ways to go about it.
Frantic Search, sweet when you can reduce it by 2.
Yeah, and definitely a Storm deck as well.
Alrighty, we're moving on. I promised Grahatia, and now it is time to deliver. This is Grahatia Scion Reborn.
What's up, dude? It's a cat wizard. It's
Sure is.
White, blue, black for a 2/3 with lifelink. And throw wide the gates. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you may pay X life, where X is that spell's mana value. If you do, create a 1/1 colorless hero creature token, and then you put X 1/1 counters on it. Do this only once each turn. So yeah, cast a 1-drop, a 0-drop, pay 10 life, make a 10/10.
Yeah.
No, make an 11/11.
Yeah, if you cast a 10-drop, you can make an 11/11.
Yeah.
You have to pay 10 life, but you got lifelink going on.
That's fine.
So there's a couple different ways to build Grahatia with as always. I would call this is a non-creature spell-based token deck. So the idea is to cast as many non-creatures as possible to make as many tokens as possible. Obviously, Grahatia can only make 1 per turn, but making sure that you always have 1 to cast and generate as many hero tokens as you want is going to be the most powerful way to build it.
Yeah, very powerful card.
I focused this first section on Cheerios. Obviously you can't just like cast a bunch of Cheerios and make a ton of heroes, but making sure that you can cast 1 and hold open mana for an instant and make more heroes on more turns
on each turn,
was kind of what I was picturing here. So I would include some just 0 mana stuff. Mishra's Bauble, Lotus Petal, Paradise Mantle, all of those. You don't have to pay any life, and you get a 1/1 hero token.
Mantle's sick because you can now use that to tap your creatures for mana that you're making with Grahatia as well. For any color.
I like this one a lot.
Yeah.
And then you've got a ton of mana up for disruption spells like instants and sorceries, or more likely instants on your opponent's turn. And you can make sure that you're getting a hero per turn.
Yeah, if you're going full artifact build, then there are a bunch of cards that work well with this as well. Sai Master Thopterus will make you 1/1 Thopter creature tokens every time you cast an artifact spell. You can also sack them to draw cards. Forensic Gadgeteer is going to give you Investigate and make your activated abilities cost less. Vidalcan Archmage just is the draw a bunch of cards as well as a creature when you cast an artifact.
This will be more of an artifact type build. There's lots of ways to cast artifacts at flash speed as well if you want to lean into that sort of flashy side of things.
Yeah, you might play the Leyline of Anticipation here. Maybe Vidalcan Orrery has finally found a place
Maybe.
in Commander.
I was thinking of the Liberator, Urza's Battle Thopter.
Yeah, allows to cast artifacts.
Those are creatures, but there's also the Cicada that lets you cast colorless spells at instant speed. There's some cool options for it too. Tokens. Esper is the best color combination for a lot of, well, I guess green is very good.
Green's there too, yeah.
Green's
but Esper's
good too.
up there.
Esper's very good because it gives you a lot of ways to benefit from them that isn't just buff all of them, which I think is really fun.
White might be the thing that ties green and blue together in terms of making good token decks.
Idol of Oblivion is a big one. This is a 2-mana artifact that taps to draw a card. If you've made a token, perfect. So you cast it, you make a token if you have your commander in play, and then tap it right away.
Staff of the Storyteller, this is kind of your
I like this one a lot.
Yeah, it's also Yuna's Sending Staff as a alternate Universe Beyond version.
This is a 2-mana artifact that makes a spirit token, and then you just build up counters on there when you make tokens, and you can tap it to draw a card. So it's like Idol of Oblivion, but you have to pay white in order to draw.
Yeah, but
it gives you a free body.
Redundancy, and you get a free body when it comes in too.
Yeah. Benny Brax is great if you can cast stuff at instant speed, like your commander wants to do. It says at the beginning of each end step, if you've created a token this turn, draw a card.
And you can Voke it out for just 1 mana. It's 3 in the white normally.
Yeah, I mean, no mana. You can tap 4 creatures.
Yeah. Marnius Calgar is very happy. This is another Esper commander. 3/5 double strike. Whenever one or more tokens enter the battlefield under your control, draw a card. No limit.
Nice.
And then you can pay 6 to create 2 white Astartes warrior creature tokens with vigilance. You're probably not doing that.
Probably just drawing cards and having a big boy.
Yeah. If you want to make your tokens even scarier, instead of just little 1/1s, you could Divine Visitation them and they make 4/4s instead.
Yeah, and they still get the counters on them because this directly replaces them. So if you cast Divine Visitation, you can pay 5 life. You make a hero with 5 counters on it, and then anything you cast after that can be an angel with counters on it. Seems good.
Seems real good.
Renewed Solidarity is very good in any deck that has a commander that makes tokens. This is 2 and a white for an enchantment. When it enters, choose a creature type, in this case, probably hero. Maybe angels if you already have Divine Visitation out.
Yeah, okay then.
Creatures you control of the chosen type get +1/+0, and at the beginning of your end step for each token you control of the chosen type that is entered this turn, create a token that's a copy of it. 2 tokens for the price of 1, just a little bit of a delay there.
I love it.
A lot of those sort of support pieces that we're talking about are non-creature spells that you can pay life to make heroes for.
Oh, right. Every single one you can pay X.
You can pay X. So I was really leaning into the non-creature side of those to make sure that your synergy is as tight as possible. But that does mean that you're paying a lot of life.
Yeah, a ton of life, actually.
Assuming you want to make heroes with counters on them, that is. So I do think this deck wants some amount of life gain as well. I, again, focused on non-creatures so that when you cast them, you can make bigger heroes.
Yeah, you might think like, oh, put in the sisters that gain you a life every time creatures enter the battlefield, but they're creatures, so they don't get the other part of your commander's ability. Yeah. And with this commander out, you don't have to care so much about having creatures in your deck because you're just making so many, right?
Yeah, that's the plan is to make a lot of tokens and have plenty of defenders, especially if you can give them lifelink with something like a Whip of Erebos.
Nice. This
2 black, creatures you control have lifelink. What?
Yeah,
nice.
And then you can pay 2 black, tap it to return the creature from a graveyard to the battlefield, giving it haste, and it gets exiled only as a sorcery. So it's a reanimator spell as well, but just 2 black, everything getting lifelink is nice.
Yeah, Envoy of the Ancestors does a similar impression of it, but is a creature, so it doesn't help you make a token.
Yeah.
You can still play some amount of creatures.
Authority of the Consuls is actually really great in decks like this. It makes sure creatures that your opponents enter tapped, so then your lifelinking commander can get in.
You are going wide in this deck, so something like a Path of Bravery is interesting. It's 2 and a white for an enchantment. As long as your life total is greater than or equal to your starting life total, creatures you control get +1/+1. And whenever one or more creatures you control attack, you gain life equal to the number of attacking creatures. Ooh. So this is closer to the one where you're trying to make sure you're getting a token every turn.
Yeah.
So you can go as wide as possible and gain as much life back as possible.
Fun times. Aetherflux Reservoir, if you're playing the 0-drop version of this deck, it's a little anti against it because you can only do the ability one time each turn. But if you just have that turn where you play 4 or 5 spells, you're going to get a lot of life from this thing.
Yeah, and, you can pay life to your Aetherflux Reservoir to make yourself a friend.
Yeah.
Anytime you're gaining life and you're casting baubles, Ratchet Field Medic becomes something that I start to think about.
Because you're going to need the wee-woo of the ambulance.
Exactly. And you're paying life and gaining life. You need an ambulance on hand. This is a complicated card, but it's 2 and a white for a legendary artifact creature, Robot. It has lifelink. Whenever you gain life, you may convert Ratchet. When you do, return target artifact with mana value less than or equal to the amount of life you gain this turn from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. So when you gain life, you can flip this into an ambulance, get an artifact back from the graveyard to your battlefield. And then when it's an ambulance, it says whenever one or more non-token artifacts you control are put into a graveyard from the battlefield, you convert Ratchet. And this ability triggers only once each turn. So if you sacrifice a bauble, it flips back to regular Ratchet and can bring back the original bauble. So you really only need one bauble to make a little loop with this guy.
And Ratchet's like, what am I rescuing each time? And it's like, it's a 0 mana artifact. And Ratchet's like, all right.
This necklace? Okay.
Okay, sure. Does it have living metal like I do?
No.
No. Oh, okay.
Well, job's a job.
Yeah, the field medic can't question what.
Exactly.
It's just their assignment.
So whatever you're leaning into, if you're trying to cast really high mana value stuff, like you're delving out things to cast.
Ooh, yeah.
Like
dig through time.
Dig through time.
Yeah, or treasure cruise.
There you go. Like those
treasure
are
cruise,
will make
pay
you
8 life,
big
make a
heroes.
9/9. Woo, die.
Die.
Just die.
Die
afterwards.
immediately. You're gonna gain some life back.
Yeah, you
You'll
drew
be
the cards
fine.
to save your life, right? That's the whole point.
You'll be fine.
I expect to see a lot of Graha Tia decks, I think.
This is a cool deck.
Yeah, similar to Emmett Selk, actually, there's a bunch of different ways to build it.
Right.
2 flavor, 2 style, 2 taste, and you're going to die while you do it.
That's always my plan.
Speaking of dying, let's talk about someone that loves killing. It's Kefka, Court Mage. Oof. Yeah, so this recently CGB had Simu on, and he played this, and it seemed very powerful.
It's very powerful.
2 blue, black, and a red for a 4/5 legendary creature, human wizard. Whenever Kefka enters or attacks, each player discards a card. Then you draw a card for each card type among cards discarded this way. Ooh-wee.
My God.
This could just enter and draw you 3-4 cards the moment it enters.
Discard 1, draw 3-4.
Yeah.
I mean,
and then 8 mana, you can pay it to make each opponent sack a permanent of their choice, can be a land, and transform Kefka into Kefka, Ruler of Ruin. It's a 5/7 with flying. Whenever an opponent loses life during your turn, you draw that many cards. You just hit them for 5, draw 5 more.
Gee whiz.
But maybe you actually don't want to. Maybe you just want to keep it on the other side because you're still drawing a bunch of cards with the Kefka side.
So I definitely built around the front side of this. I think if your opponents let you have this extremely dangerous front side and then pay 8 and flip into an extremely dangerous backside,
they're already losing.
You're already in a pretty good spot.
Yeah.
So a lot of the synergy of the deck is built around Kefka Court Mage from me. I did want to mention this is really interesting. It's very similar to Nicol Bolas the Ravager.
Yes,
it's just like
actually.
a pushed version of Nicol Bolas the Ravager with like a more powerful ETB. So one mana of difference made you a much more powerful commander.
Yeah, and it's a creature on the backside instead of a planeswalker.
A planeswalker, yeah. Okay, so this is a grindy deck. This is a discard deck. Uses its commander to strip your opponent's hands and make sure that yours stays full. If you're playing this at a casual table, you are the baddie.
Yeah, you're Kefka.
If you're playing a villain, you are often, especially many of these Final Fantasy villains, you have to recognize that you have brought a very powerful and a little bit of a salty commander to the table, and your opponents will react accordingly. And that's fine. You just have to know that going in. You can't play Kefka and be like, why are people keep removing my commander?
Yeah, it's not fun.
Have you read your commander? Read your commander again.
As for the discard bit, one small thing, when you do have Kefka enter, you all around the table should reveal the card you're discarding at the same time.
Sure,
you can have some discussion about it, but if you do say, hey, everyone, let's discard the creature, and like, cool, Kefka's going to go, great, I'll discard the land. So at least I know that I'll get 2 cards off it. So there's some amount of strategy to not saying what you're going to discard, but you probably do want to discuss it beforehand, because if everyone discards something different, you're in for a load of trouble.
You're talking about if you're playing against
Kefka, yeah. If the other players, if you guys all go, oh, let's make sure, okay, we all have lands to discard, okay, let's do that. Then the Kefka player can do something else, but it won't be like, I did a land, you did a creature, someone did an enchantment, Kefka does an artifact, and they draw 4 cards.
Oh
Yeah, instead of 2. Yeah, so there is some collusion that may be beneficial in that scenario.
All right, let's talk about ways to enhance this ability. Kefka is a wizard, so there's a lot of very efficient ones. Harmonic Prodigy and Naban functionally do the same thing.
Doubling wizard triggers.
Harmonic Prodigy will double the ETB and the attack. Naban will only double the ETB, but that is a backbreaking ETB to double.
Yeah. Harmonic Prodigy, by the way, this card is so good in a lot of Final Fantasy decks.
It's really
a lot
good.
of wizards, so just keep an eye out. As bad as like VV or Kefka is, Harmonic Prodigy is also a remove on site card now.
Extremely dangerous.
Yeah.
All right, so
is Roaming Throne.
Roaming Throne, Spark Double. If you have a powerful commander, having more of your commander is always going to be good. Discard payoffs are another way that you can go with this. Waste Not cares about when your opponents discard different things, give you value for it. Because it's only 2 mana, I think it's a relatively fine thing to include. With a commander that is this powerful, Enhancers is kind of like, you know, gravy. It feels a little bit more like win more. If you're like, yeah, I just had everybody discard 3 and I drew 3, like that's pretty good already. But because it's so cheap.
You want, if the enhancers work really well with your strategy, then they're definitely to be considered. If it's just gravy on top, then it's not so great. But I will say a card like Sangromancer is potentially just good because you will be targeted and your life will go down low.
Right. Sangromancer, you gain 3 life anytime an opponent discards a card or anytime a creature an opponent controls dies.
Yeah, having a Sangromancer out on top of Kefka means that even a board wipe, you're still going to gain a ton of life.
The sneaky thing about Sangromancer is you do have to answer Sangromancer, but if you have another scary permanent like the Harmonic Prodigy or like Kefka itself, Sangromancer automatically gets a lower priority. And in the meantime, you're just going to be gaining 15 life,
I've seen
25 life.
Yeah, easily 30 plus life in games. I've seen this thing just go nuts.
It is really powerful in decks where you have something else that is a higher priority to remove.
That could be a whole podcast episode.
Yeah,
the threats that sit just enough behind.
Those are my favorite cards.
Yeah, oh, me too.
Just second best. Sangromancer's great at being second best.
Because I play very on the front foot, and those cards are the ones that are your MVPs, because it's like, all right, we got rid of the problematic. What is happening over there?
You're like, what? I gained 30 life because there was a board wipe.
Yeah.
Sangromancer is sweet in this deck and will gain you a lot of life when you're the big bad.
Let's talk about protecting your commander.
Yeah, you're going to need to. Because it is in your opponent's best interest to stop you.
Yeah, immediately, by the way.
So very efficient blink spells are going to be something that you're looking at. Essence Flux is kind of the best in these colors.
Oh, yeah.
It's just 1 mana and blinks your commander, so it's great in response to removal, but also just for pressing your value.
If you're in black and you're not playing a Malakir Rebirth as an MDFC, it's just one of those automatic add lands. You could go further and play any of the other versions of this, but Malakir Rebirth is just a natural, easy to add, doesn't hurt your mana base type of dealio.
If it would die, it returns to the battlefield instead, gives you an additional trigger. It's black's version of Blink.
Yeah.
If you want to go way over the top, get a Displacer Kitten in there. Now,
Kefka loves kittens.
He does.
Displacer Kefka.
Anytime you cast an instant or sorcery, you blink your commander. And you're drawing cards when you blink your commander, so you'll find another instant or sorcery or artifact to blink your commander again. You can easily strip your opponent's hands. You can refill yours. This is a nasty combo if you can get it going.
Yeah, this kind of ices the game out on the spot and just leaves everyone pretty much with what's on the board state, so it's very, very good.
It is worth noting that once your opponents are out of cards, you are going to be discarding fewer cards.
Yeah.
Because they don't have anything to contribute to the different card types, so it'll basically be you discard a card and draw a card.
Yeah,
Unless you can discard something with multiple types.
Aha!
Which we will talk about, but this next one I think is really good in the deck for
It also has
that
multiple
reason.
types.
Yeah, because it has multiple types. And it gives you additional combats. It's fear of missing out. When this card was printed, I did not know how much I would be talking about it, and
I did.
it comes up a lot.
It is good. You see it in a lot in standard as well. It's just really good. Having multiple types on it too is just so nuts. When it enters, you discard, draw, and then it has Delirium when it attacks for the first time each turn. If you do have Delirium, so 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard, you untap it and you get an additional combat phase.
You should
Untap target creature, by the way, which is Kefka.
Just one creature. You should be able to hit Delirium in this deck, no problem. You're discarding a lot of cards, and you are incentivized to include cards with multiple types.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the looting helps you get there on top of it, and it gives you 2 attacks with Kefka to trigger his ability twice, which is
draw
messed
more
up.
cards. Yeah. I think in any time you trigger Kefka twice on the same turn, especially if you get anger in the graveyard or whatever, the game swings like 80-90% in your favor.
It's ridiculous.
Depending on what's on the board, of course.
Yeah.
But it's insanely powerful.
Seize the Day is another great thing to discard.
Yeah.
This is a sorcery with flashback 2 in a red that just gives one creature an additional combat. Perfect. We will take it.
And again, if you are discarding Fear of Missing Out, you're going to draw 2 cards. It's an enchantment creature.
Right.
So that's just for you to know. But there's also the point where everyone has no cards left and they draw 1 card and they will almost guaranteed cast it immediately if Kefka's still on the board and the card isn't relevant.
Right. This deck will put all of your opponent's top decking and keep your hands full, which will naturally turn the table against you, but they don't have any hands, so what are you worried about?
What are you worried about?
Then benefit. You strip to your opponent's hands. What do you do in the late game when they're out of juice and you need to close the door?
And drink more juice.
And it's dig through their graveyard is my answer. So you can play cards that benefit from your opponent's discarding cards or casting cards right away, like Doubt the Voidwalker or even Valgavoth Terror Eater.
Oh yeah, it exiles stuff and you can cast those spells too.
Right. So either of those are great things to have on the battlefield when your engine is going, but also are great to reanimate in the late game. And this is a good reanimator commander. You've got a discard outlet and you draw additional cards. So something like Valgavoth makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, the Primordials are really good. Players, good chance they'll be discarding their 6, 7, 8 drops if they get a choice to in the early game. So Sepulchral Primordial, Diluvian Primordial will both fetch those all out. A new card that I'm looking to play in the deck soon on game nights is Afterlife from the Loam. 5 black, you delve it. For each player, choose up to 1 target creature card in the graveyard, and you put those cards on the battlefield under your control, and they're zombies. So this could just be black.
Yeah, you're discarding cards. Hypothetically, you're triggering your commander a number of times.
Yeah.
So the reduction here is going to be good. You're going to need counterspells. You're going to need blink spells to protect your primary plan, which is your very powerful commander. Expect your opponents to come for you. They've got to.
Yep, and they know it's in the command zone. They'll know when it's going to come out. They should be holding. Expect to be countered, actually, a lot, I would say. Don't even let this thing hit the battlefield will be the solution in a lot of pods.
But it's Kefka. The art is beautiful. There's multiple printings of this one, so I would totally get it if you're excited about this deck. Just make sure
want to build it.
Just make sure that you're ready for people to be like to respond to you.
Do I want to build it?
Look,
I don't know. Maybe I'll just put it in my Marchesa deck.
it's pretty sweet,
Hee
but it's rude.
Graha teehee.
Graha Teehee. All right, let's move on to a more aggressive commander. We're onto the Boros section of the episode, actually.
Yeah.
There's 3 in a row here.
By the way, this card would have been great in the Cloud deck. It's Lightning, Army of 1.
1.
Expect many a limited game to single-handedly lose to this card, by the way.
This card's messed up, yeah.
1 red-white for a 3/2 with First Strike, Trample, and Lifelink. You love keywords? This has got them. It also has the ability, whenever Lightning deals combat damage to a player until your next turn, if a source would deal damage to that player or a permanent that player controls, it deals double that damage instead.
Yeah, it sets up a delayed replacement effect, basically. Now, any damage that happens before your next turn will be doubled by it. So if you hit an opponent and you cast a lightning bolt, it'll hit them for 6. If an opponent casts a lightning bolt targeting them, that will also hit them for 6.
Yeah.
So you can set up one opponent to be easy to kill in the next turn rotation.
Bonked. Yeah. And it's
course,
any source of damage.
This is a triggered ability
Oh, boy.
that you can double up on, specifically double strike on. Giving lightning double strike is absurd.
Yeah, it hits the first time. It's going to get the trigger 1 time. The next time it's going to hit now for double that damage.
Right.
Because the trigger's on the stack. And now you've got 2 of these doublers that sit on that player until your next turn.
So damage against that player is now quadrupled, but not to mention you hit for 3, gain 3 life, hit for 6, gain 6 life, and they've taken 9.
Yeah.
On likely, this is what, turn 4.
Yeah.
So double strike, definitely very powerful. You want to make sure, like, if you can quadruple damage against a player, that is obviously nuts. Now any lightning bolt is dealing 12 damage. Is that right? 3 times. Yep.
Yeah.
So making sure that she hits multiple times is a big deal. Extra combats is another way to do that. I've got other double strike options. So double strike is the easiest way in these colors. Twinferno seems absurd in this deck.
Yeah, normally kind of an unplayable card because it's just a combat trick instant, but 1 in a red, you can choose 1 to give a creature double strike, or the next time you cast an instant or sorcery, you copy it.
Right. So this is good for copying your lightning bolts or your lightning helixes, but also giving her double strike to double up your...
it's just the double deck.
It does.
Double down.
Get yourself an instant that can do both. Twinferno, I think, is very cool here.
It's in the name. Duelist Heritage is great. Enchantment gives whenever one or more creatures attack, you can give a attack creature double strike till end of turn. Just great stuff.
Spear of Leonidas shows up again here, gives the attacking creature double strike, or you can get a horse if you want, or do a little bit of
discard
looting.
2, draw 2. Yeah.
Most likely you are getting the double strike here from the spear.
You don't want the horse because the card's name is a lightning army of 1.
That's true.
And that horse makes it 2.
Maybe she's riding the horse.
Army of 1, but doing 2 things. And a Twinferno doing 2 things. There's a lot of 1s and 2s going on.
That's true.
Here.
This is getting out of control.
There's also Army of 2, which is a classic game on the Xbox or something, I'm pretty sure. Okay, Overpowering Attack. Again, another great card here with free running. So you can cast it for 2 in a red, and it gives you another attack, basically, because people are not going to want to block lightning.
I mean, it has first strike. Like, if this thing has double strike, it trades with basically anything. They have to figure out how to block this. But being able to pay 3 mana and get an extra combat for lightning, maybe double up damage against a different opponent if you can get attacks against them.
Yeah. It's just so juicy. Now everyone's going to be like, well, I could attack you or get 12 damage in on my opponent.
Right. It just sets up this thing that's like, do you want to kill them? You can if you want.
The trample is nuts too.
Full Throttle will give you 2 extra combats.
Hey,
every time you hit, it is getting more and more and more dangerous. It seems likely that if you have lightning and she has evasion, if you cast Full Throttle, you can just kill a player.
Now, notably, if you attack with lightning and another creature, that also will be a way to do it because the first strike damage hits, puts the trigger on for them, and then your regular creature attacking will give that damage.
Right. There's a lot of ways to do additional damage. The other way, if you're doing double strike, if you're doing extra combats, you can also just double the triggered ability. With something like Psionic Resonator does it. Return the Favor doubles triggered abilities as well. So if you're like, I can't find any of my double strike stuff, but I did find another way to make this ability stack. You can quadruple, you can octuple the damage. It gets absurd the third time you can copy that trigger.
Yeah, this could be a one-shot commander for sure.
I would think so.
You set it up, make sure that your commander has haste because Lightning Greaves or Anger or Boots, and then boom, 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 do all the stuff in one turn.
I really like Return the Favor because you can copy the damage, like the damage ability that we're talking about, but it also lets you change the target of a single spell with a single target. So it also can protect lightning from removal spells.
Yeah, there are situations where you can attack and then wait to see if someone is going to remove it. If not, great, go on for the copy bit. There might be situations where you like hit someone and then they target it with it and then you can do it all, but that's probably not going to happen.
It's crazy. I mean, you can definitely set up a turn where you're like, okay, I've octuple damage against you. Now I'm in my second main phase. I'm just going to cast a lightning bolt and hit you.
Yeah, or a Boros Charm.
Boros Charm is perfect because it can also give her double strike.
Yeah.
Any just little efficient burn spell that can go face is literally a win con if you can set up this double strike chain.
You also have to play any cards that say lightning in it.
Yeah.
That's just the rule.
That's just the rule. All of them. There's a lot.
We saw this to great effect in extra turns with Wolverine, but Kedis, Emberclaw Familiar, will now make the damage get dealt to each other opponent in terms of that much damage.
So there's some weird stuff that goes on with Kedis. First of all, you hit the player with combat damage. That's the only one that damage is actually doubled against. So it won't actually double the damage against your other opponents, but you will be dealing double damage to this player. So if you hit, deal double damage. She hits for a second strike and deal 6.
Yeah.
You will deal 9 to each opponent, but the damage against the opponents that weren't directly hit is not going to be doubled, quadrupled, all that.
They won't be like, why am I tingly?
Yeah.
They just get smacked.
It will hurt.
Yeah, it just will hurt, yeah.
Another cool burn spell that I haven't seen enough of, but I've definitely killed people with, is Aloran Searing Light. Have you seen this one?
I've never seen this card in my life, I don't think.
It's from the holiday product of Lord of the Rings. So it's one of those like
this is a new
sneaky
Capenna commander,
cards.
yeah.
It's a new Capenna. No, it's from Lord of the Rings. It's 2 red, white for an instant. Each opponent exiles a creature with the greatest power among creatures that player controls. So it's already like a weird Boros edict that gets stuff out of the way so you can get in with lightning.
Yeah.
But it also has spell mastery. It says if there are 2 or more instants and or sorcery cards in your graveyard, Aloran Sealing Light deals damage to each opponent equal to the power of the creature they exiled. So this is also kind of a nasty burn spell if you're leaning into this more one-turn combo off with burn spells to kill a player.
Yeah.
And it deals damage to all the players, which is nice.
Yeah, make sure your opponents can't block you by goading everyone. Disrupt Decorum is a great way to do that. Taunt from the ramparts. Ways to get the entire board to, unfortunately, tap out and give you that lightning turn.
The other thing I like about these is if you set up one player to have damage quadrupled against them,
Oh my gosh,
Goad
everything's goaded.
forces your opponents to get into combat, and it's just like, look, you've got to attack somebody. It might as well be this person that's going to die.
It's almost like a board wipe in a lot of cases for players that are later on in the turn order because they have to block. Otherwise, they're taking 44 damage or whatever.
Right. So it's very, very tricky. Puts your opponents in a very tight spot. Spectacular Showdown is particularly good because it gives lightning double strike.
I don't think you cast lightning on turn 3.
Probably not. You sort of want protection. You do want some kind of evasion. Like 3/2 is really annoying, but they will have to trade for it.
If you got Greaves out and you can instantly equip, then that seems like a way to do it. But it does
Makes it tough to do double strike, but Brotherhood's Regalia
Ah, yes.
comes up again. That Assassin's Creed stuff is sticking around,
Even
huh?
just like Zephyr Boots to give it flying and some drawing and discarding.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Any kind of evasion on lightning will make her more reliable.
And
but
throw lightning in all of your equipment decks. She's going to mine for
she's
sure.
great. I mean, this is one of the interesting ones. I think this and Kefka were 2 that were sort of on the table for most powerful commanders episode and got bumped down to this one because they feel a little inconsistent, or they're just like on Kefka's side, it's a little bit too expensive and you're fighting sort of an uphill battle.
And lightning's a bit glass cannon-y.
It is. But when it cannons, oh boy, does it cannon.
All right, let's talk about another cannon. It's Mog, Moogle Warrior. It's not really a cannon. It's just cute, though.
This is a good little creature.
Yeah, 1 red, white for a 1/2 with lifelink. It's a Moogle Warrior, as it says in its name. And it can dance. At the beginning of your end step, each player may discard a card. Each player who discarded the card this way draws a card. If a creature card was discarded this way, you create a 1/2 white Moogle creature token with lifelink.
Yeah.
Then if a non-creature card was discarded this way, put a 1/1 counter on each Moogle you control.
I think this is a spicy little card.
Make a bunch of Moogles, give them all +1/+1. Your opponents are like, yeah, I will loot away this or discard away this thing that I don't want. I will rummage. Sure.
Yeah.
And you're like, uh-oh, what did I just do?
Yeah, it helps that your opponents fix their hand. So it has a little bit of like, we're all in this together. I'm just making cutie guys.
Yeah.
But you have to remember that these creatures have lifelink. And there are some pretty cool ways to make a ton of Moogles that came in this set.
Yes.
Summon Good King Mog the 12th is a card we've talked about a couple of times in the episode, so I don't want to spend too much time here. But basically, it makes a load of Moogles.
Yeah, and then it puts opponent counters on all your Moogles. It's also just a 4/4 flying with lifelink for the 2 turns it can attack, and the 4 turns it stays alive.
Pretty serious little card. Moogle's Valor is a 5-mana instant that says for each creature you control, create a 1/2 Moogle creature token with lifelink. Then creatures you control get indestructible until end of turn.
Yeah, this could be a new staple in token decks, I feel like.
Pretty sweet. Doubles your board, protects them as well. Yeah. It's 5 is a lot to hold up, but if you're playing in a Moogle deck specifically, this seems like a slam dunk.
Yeah, I do love it. Okay, we also have Cat Moogle with Kate Sith, Fortune Teller. I always forget it's a Cat Moogle. 3 in a red, 3/3, and it basically at the beginning of combat you scry 1, then you exile the top card of your library, and then you may play that card this turn, so it's like the Red Siege. Mm-hmm. And then when you exile the card this way, a creature gets +X/+O, where X is that card's mana value, which could be a giant Moogle with lifelink.
Cool.
Hooray.
I like this one. You can set up your draws. Like it seems almost worth being 4 mana, which normally I would prefer this effect to be 3 mana. But the fact that it does it at the beginning of combat, like as soon as the card comes down, and you can set up what card you exile, so you can like, okay, I find a land, I can play a land for free.
Yeah,
just gives you a little bit more of a chance for it to give you value the first turn that it enters.
Yeah, it's a creature, but again, we've seen a lot of 4 mana effects in red that are basically impulse draw 1. This one adds a scry and a bonus, and it does it the turn it comes down.
Yeah. Okay, those are the Moogles that we're going to mention. There's a lot of Moogles in the set. I think you honestly run most of them. First of all, they're super cute.
Yeah.
Second of all, they synergize very well.
Bunch of +1/+1 counters on them too. It's huge.
And most of them have lifelink. But if that is not enough Moogles for you, let's create double the amount of Moogles with Anointed Procession type effects, or again, Renewed Solidarity, which is the one that doubles tokens of a specific type that we talked about before.
Yep. Or you can play a good old Changeling deck, because Moogles also are Changelings.
Classic.
Changelings are Moogles, the other way around. I guess both work.
Yeah, well, no. Moogles aren't Changelings. Are they? I don't know. I don't know Final Fantasy lore enough to know if Moogles aren't shapeshifters.
When they dance really fast, they become one. Mirror Entity is a win con in this deck. It gives pay X, creatures you control have power and toughness XX, and gain all creature types. So even if you do have some non-Moogles running around, you can Mirror Entity for 1, and then instantly get a +1/+1 counter on each Moogle you control with your Mog trigger on the stack, which is kind of cute.
Irregular Cohort is the 4 mana shapeshifter that comes in with a second body, so there's 2 2/2s. So it gives you 2 Moogles for the price of, well, 2. But the fact that this gives you 2 bodies that you can put more counters on is very helpful if you're doing the go wide Moogle plan.
Yeah, you want to discard creatures, and then if you want to guarantee to get the +1/+1 counter, you will be discarding a non-creature spell as well.
Right.
Okay.
All right. You are going to be discarding and drawing cards in this deck, so building around some amount of that is probably helpful, give you some additional value, and red is very good at that. We mentioned Monument to Endurance. It's good here.
Yeah, it's very good. Whenever you discard a card, choose one that hasn't been chosen. You draw a card, create a treasure token, or each opponent loses 3 life, which is really relevant. Each opponent, that will add up, especially as you're gaining life and they're losing life. Pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, you probably are running some amount of rummage effects. You're in red, so your Thrill of Possibilities will also trigger this, especially if you're building around the discard that your commander provides. But even just saying like, okay, at my end step, I discard a card, I draw an additional card off my Monument to Endurance, and then I get this Anthem effect or the other abilities from your commander. Feels like it's enough to warrant an include of Monument to Endurance.
Yeah, this is incremental value for sure. Yeah. And then if you look up an Inti Senescal of the Sun deck, you'll find a lot of cards that go well here. Inti is just about discarding and stuff, and when you discard, you get an impulse draw. Currency Convert is really good for changing the things into other things.
I wanted to mention for Inti, it says whenever you discard 1 or more cards, exile the top card of your library. You may play the card until your next end step. Oh, yeah. Normally that means just the turn that you exile it, but because your commander triggers on end step, you get it for the entire rotation until your next one. So it actually does work pretty well here.
Yeah, so you'll get both the attack trigger from Inti, any creatures attacking to discard and do that then, but if your commander's out, you'll get another one on your end step.
Right.
So
also,
you can really
Inti,
chug through your deck.
Known Moogle.
Yeah, known...
Clear Moogle.
Clear Moogle. Inti, Senescal of the Mog. Currency Converter, like I just mentioned. Again, there's just a lot of cards here that love to discard, and then you can maybe do something with it.
Cards that love to be discarded is another thing that you can lean into here. Squee, Goblin Nabob, or Anger are both creatures that are happy to be discarded anytime you want to your Mog trigger.
Squee ends up being like the best card in the deck.
Oh my gosh.
Almost every discard deck. And it's so innocuous because it's like, what do you mean? Yeah, because at a certain point, guess what? You actually kind of run out of cards because you're not getting, discard to draw 1, but then you cast a card each turn. You're actually going down. You're not getting more cards. Squee allows you to just have a free discard each time.
Right.
And if
so you're actually drawing cards.
Yeah. And if you want to make sure you get a Moogle token, then you can discard Squee.
Yeah. If you want to make sure that you're discarding a non-creature spell, land tax is going to be great in this deck. I know land tax is often great, but because of the specific synergy here, where you can discard a land that you've searched up with land tax, and then you can draw an additional one, this will give you the non-creature trigger that you're looking for.
Yeah, it says non-creature card on Moogle, not non-creature spell. So even if someone discards a land, you will get that +1/+1 counter trigger. This is a Rachel favorite. Zerzoth Chaos Rider is going to force people to discard cards, sometimes even randomly. This is just going to, again, just create more chaos around the table.
And anytime anybody accepts the rummage, you get a devil.
You
because
get a
it's
devil,
not their
yeah.
turn. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you're going wide and you can, your devils are just going to add to that. Devils make attacking into you also really tricky because they can trade really well against stuff or just incidentally kill something to any target.
This is an annoying little card. I think it's fun to throw in the deck, especially one that's going wide naturally and benefits from having a lot of extra bodies.
Yeah.
Tataru Taru is very similar. This is a Final Fantasy card. It says, whenever an opponent draws a card, if it isn't that player's turn, create a tapped treasure token. This ability triggers only once each turn. And
Yes,
when it
please.
enters, somebody can draw an additional card. So that means if they accept the rummage, you get a treasure token.
Yeah, I think for the most part, at least one opponent is going to do it each turn,
Right.
and then there will be great turns where everyone does it. But there will be, towards a certain part of the game, some people will just say, nah, I don't want to keep you making your Moogle army.
Yeah, I mean, it does mean you can get up to 3 treasure tokens, right?
whenever an opponent draws a card,
so
yeah,
if
not-
all 3 accept, you get 3 treasures. Gross.
Yeah, that's really gross. And you can curve right into it, too.
Right.
Okay, recursion, you are throwing stuff in the graveyard. So there's a lot of good stuff, obviously, in white that does it. There's a bunch of cards like Helping Hand that returns stuff with mana value 3 or less to the graveyard tapped.
Also, it seems very Moogle coded.
Very Moogle coded. A Helping Hand for a little Moog to come out. Savin's Reclamation is going to be very good in this deck. Sun Titan, obviously, as well for the 3 mana value or less. But you also have reanimate spells in white. There's a lot of stuff you
bigger
can do
ones.
here. You could do like a Moogle enchantment deck and just bring your enchantments back with all the different spells that do that. Yeah.
Yeah, you're throwing stuff into the graveyard. Make sure that you're getting maximum value out of it.
Yeah. Moogle, not super powerful, but good enough.
I like him.
I think this is the perfect bracket 2 to 3 deck.
Yeah, I think you can build a pretty efficient deck that flies under the radar for a little while until it just gains way too much life, and you're like, oh, what did we?
Yeah.
I can't shoot.
And then you Moonshaker Cavalry, and all your Moogles their wings get a little bigger.
Mog Shaker Cavalry.
Mog Shaker Cavalry.
And let's see the altars.
And you're like, oh my gosh, they're huge.
That's a big Moogle.
That's a big Moogle.
It is funny that
Plural.
Moogles fly, but Chocobos do not.
Well, this one doesn't, but they all have lifelink.
All righty. The final Boros commander that we're going to talk about in this episode
But
is
not the last Moogle.
is debatably Boros. It's Sephiroth, Fallen Hero.
Yeah, there's a few Sephiroths. This one is from a part of the game where I guess he's more red, white than black. It's 3 red, white for a 7/5 legendary creature, human avatar soldier. This comes in the Cloud Precon. The first ability is called Genova Cells. Whenever Sephi attacks, you may put a cell counter on target creature you control until end of turn. Each modified creature you control has base power and toughness 7/5. So the cell counter is just making a modified creature.
Right.
But also equipments, auras, and counters of any other type are modifications. And then the reunion, you pay 3 mana, sacrifice a modified creature, return this card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped.
Okay. So this is an expensive commander with an attack trigger. It is going to make it a little bit slow. But this ability to make all of your modified creatures 7/5s is very powerful with the right build.
Yeah, very good. And it comes back too. You can be killing things. It doesn't matter for 3 mana.
As long as it's not getting swords, of course.
Yeah, and you can do it from sorcery speed, at instant speed. So you can do it end step, put it in tap, untap it, and immediately make all of your creatures huge.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some modified creatures that really could benefit, that also have good dice triggers.
Yeah, I wanted to, I really liked this because of the sack ability on your commander, but also just because if you're building a modified deck, anything that you put onto the battlefield that's naturally modified and doesn't require any additional work is going to be very powerful. So I looked at modular effects as a build for this. Speaking of Zabaz the Glimmer Wasp.
Yeah, there you go. Zabaz would be good in this deck, right? It should be.
I was looking at just cards with modular. The most powerful, of course, is Arcbound Ravager, but I like any of the modular creatures that have evasion the best in this deck. Because Sephiroth is going to naturally make them big, turning them into a 7/5 plus whatever counters are on top. But it needs to provide its own way to break through the line if it's going to actually hit.
Yeah.
So.
Sephiroth himself has to attack and not die.
Right.
But if you have a bunch of modified creatures that are just 7/5s or whatever on the ground,
That's a lot of damage.
not so great if they get blocked.
Right.
So Arcbound Stinger is a flying modular one for a 2, so it becomes an 8/6 when it attacks
Pretty
with
good.
Sephi. Arcbound Tracker has Menace, and then you also get to just pump it with a bunch of stuff. The nice thing is that, when you sacrifice them, thanks to Sephiroth's other ability, you get to put those counters somewhere else.
As long as it's an artifact creature.
Yeah, as long as it's an artifact creature.
Modular works with other modular creatures, which are often artifact creatures.
Yeah. All artifact creatures.
Other creatures that just come with their own counters that aren't necessarily modular, if you want to lean more into the +1/+1 counters thing, is Micaeus the Lunarch.
Super good.
X and a white when it enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. You can tap it to put a counter on Micaeus, and you can tap it to remove a +1/+1 counter from Micaeus to put +1 counters on each other creature you control. Now everybody's modified.
Yikes. Stonecoil Serpent is just guaranteed to probably do a lot of damage here. Reach Trample protection from multicolored, just X. Enters with X1/1 counters on it. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, the trample goes a long way here, as well as the protection from multicolored does a lot more than you think it does.
Yeah, a lot of commanders, a lot of creatures just won't be able to block it, and then all of a sudden, now you have a 7/5 with 5/1/1 counters on it, so it's a 12/10. Can't be blocked by like 5 things on your opponent's boards. It will do some damage.
Dust Animus is another one that I haven't really found a home for, but I do think that this is a possibility.
Yeah, this is a fun one.
You can plot it for 1 and a white, and then you can cast it for free if you've plotted it, or you can cast it for 1 and a white for a 2/3 flying if you control 5 or more untapped lands, so best in the late game, or if you've plotted it. Dust Animus enters the battlefield with 2 +1/+1 counters and a lifelink counter on it.
Ooh.
So if you do that, this is a 9/7 flying lifelink.
One hit from that will be enough to pull you out of almost any hole when it comes to like being down on life.
Thundering Raiju is another one that cares about modified creatures, but also just puts a +1 counter on one of your creatures when it attacks. It sort of helps with this front foot style deck. I think that kind of thing, if you're building a +1/+1 counter deck, you want a lot of haste, you want a lot of aggressive caustic creatures, and you really want to lean on Sephiroth being your top end.
There's a couple of Ajani's too, I think that will work well here that maybe give even your Sephiroth some evasion or like extra keyword abilities, and also Ajani's do love to put +1/+1 counters on things.
Yeah.
So could be a space for someone like that.
If this is what you're doing, haste is going to be key just sort of generally because your commander has an attack trigger.
Yeah, Sephiroth wears equipment very well, notably.
He does. So let's talk about equipment. We're in Boros. Equipment may be a better way to build this just because of the colors that you're in than doing something that's more +1/+1 counter focused. So again, I looked at sort of living weapon type of things because they're naturally modified as soon as they hit the battlefield, and it's really good to sacrifice just a little token that came for free with your equipment.
Yeah.
So Mandibular Kite is just a 1 mana bug that it gives +1/+1 and flying. So it's a 1 mana 1/1 flyer that is both a creature and equipped.
Yeah, Hex Gold Halberd, it makes a rebel token, and it gives an equipped creature first strike and trample. So
again, evasion is the big thing here.
Yeah, and if you're able to throw this on Sephiroth later on when you maybe sacrifice that token or it just dies, and Sephiroth becomes very hard to block.
Right. First strike and trample is a nasty combination, especially on 7/5s.
Yeah.
Bitter Thorn, Nissa's Animus. It doesn't grant evasion, but does give it a very powerful ability. It's basically a Sword of the Animus. So when it attacks, you get a land, but it comes with a creature and a little buff.
Yeah, and then if you are not caring about the living weapon side of things, Shadow Spear giving lifelink. I think lifelinks will be really important in decks like this because you want to be tapping out and attacking pretty much every turn.
Right. Especially if you have a commander on board.
Yeah, and then Zephyr Boots, as I mentioned earlier, gives it flying. You can draw a discard. It gives it evasion, more importantly.
Yeah.
So it goes a little crazy.
If you want to lean a little bit less into the like modular thing or the living weapon thing, there are a lot of creatures that just care about having a high power.
Yeah.
And making them into base 7/5s is obviously going to really supercharge their abilities.
Yeah.
So Krenko Tin Street Kingpin was the first one that I thought of because he modifies himself, which is great.
Yep.
Whenever he attacks, you put a +1 counter on him, and then you make a number of 1/1 goblin creature tokens equal to Krenko's power.
Hey, he's gonna be huge.
So he'll attack as an 8/5 if you're attacking with your commander, and make 8 goblins to defend your life total in the meantime.
Yeah, that's insane. And the way it works with Sephiroth, it's not tied to the ability. He puts a cell counter, and then he says, until end of turn, modified creatures have 7/5 base tower and toughness. So it doesn't matter what order it happens here.
Yeah. Cool.
Jacked Rabbit.
Yes.
An X1 and a white. Definitely the best
known
friend of Sephiroth.
collaborator,
Yeah,
Jacked Rabbit.
It's got Ravenous. It enters with X1 with counters on it. If it's 5 or more, you draw a card. That's almost never going to happen because it enters, but you do get to create a number of 1/1 white rabbit creature tokens equal to its power when it attacks. So
You're incentivized to pay 3 for this to have a counter come on it naturally.
Yep.
But you can always put a sell counter on it with your commander to modify this, and you make a whole bunch of rabbits.
Yeah, ton of rabbits. 8 rabbits, 9 rabbits, 10 rabbits.
A few rabbits.
Various
rabbits.
If you watch the Game Nights Final Fantasy episode, which may be out by the time this is
It'll
out.
be
Should
out,
yeah.
yeah.
Vincent Vengeful Atoner did a lot of work in that one.
Did.
2 in red for a 3/3 with Menace. Whenever one more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, you put a 1/1 counter on Vincent. So it will just get naturally modified over time. And then whenever Vincent deals combat damage to an opponent, it deals that much damage to each other opponent if his power is 7 or greater.
Gross.
Gross.
That's a lot of damage.
A lot of damage.
Also,
yeah.
it has menace.
Yeah.
So that helps.
And you've already got other ways to make creatures evasive.
If you put a Shadow Spear on him, he attacks as an 8/6 with your commander, and then you hit for 8, gain 8, deal 8 to each opponent, and then also gain that 24. So you gain 24 life and deal 24 damage with a Shadow Spear. Gross.
Put some Assassin's Creed equipment on and make it unblockable. What was that thing called again? I keep forgetting.
Brotherhood Regalia.
Yeah, that card, again, just... Equipment just gets better and better the more video games we do.
That's true, because there's cooler equipment. Finally, I wanted to mention Guardian Scale Lord. This is another
this card.
Great one. 4 and a white. It has backup 1, so it can modify a creature or itself. It has flying. Whenever this creature attacks, return target non-land permanent card with mana value X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, where X is that creature's power.
Wow.
Get a big thing back from your graveyard.
Yeah, or even if you don't have Sephiroth out, this just gets 4... Something that's like a 4/5 if it's attacking by itself, or it gives it to something else, notably when it comes in.
Great threat, all on its own, and can speed up the process if you've got a creature already on the battlefield.
Yeah, you're almost always backing up somewhere else, and then the Guardian Scale Lord will just now bring 3 drops back or more if you equip it, or get it up to 7.
All
really
right.
sweet stuff going on there.
That is Sephiroth, but ironically, we didn't talk a lot about auras with Sephiroth.
He does have aura, but we don't want to build an aura deck around him.
Yeah, auras are tricky. He doesn't give you a lot of support for playing auras, and he actively encourages you to sacrifice your modified creatures, which is worse if they have an aura attached to them. So,
unless it's like Gift of Immortality type stuff.
Right. You can certainly build Sephiroth around auras. That's not exactly how we'd recommend it, but I'm sure you can put together a very cool list.
Yep.
Okay, moving on to Stiltskin Moogle Merchant.
This might be the cutest Moogle in the set.
He's so cute and also encourages you to do very rude things.
Yeah. So this goes in the other Moogle deck, obviously, but by itself, it's a 1 mana, 1/2 for it's just white mana for a legendary Moogle with lifelink. You can pay 2 and tap Stiltskin. Target opponent gains control of another target permanent you control. If they do, you draw a card. Wait a second, giving opponents stuff? That can't be good.
Because you're like giving away a card to only get a card in return, it does feel like you need to actually get some real benefit from the things you're giving away. So I started looking at gifts for Stiltskin, and most of them are going to be sort of rude things to give your opponents.
Any permanent you control, so you can give away creatures, enchantments, artifacts. Let's talk about some of them. You'll see this in any deck that does giving away stuff, like that one.
Blim,
yeah.
Blim does one. There's John Arenicus, I think.
John Arenicus, yeah. So Steel Golem, it's a 3 mana, 3/4, and it says you can't play creature spells. Gross.
Yep. So you give that to your opponents, and they can't play creature spells until they can figure out how to get rid of that Steel Golem.
But I guarantee you that creature will be tapped and attacking one player in particular when you give it to them. It's going to be you. Yeah. Grid Monitor is a similar thing. It's a 4 mana version of that. Rust Elemental, this card's so sad. At the beginning of your upkeep, sack an artifact other than Rust Elemental. Brutal.
If you can't tap Rust Elemental and you lose 4 life.
So this might not even attack you.
Right. Like it
just becomes a tapped 4/4.
He's very rude and hurts them in the process. 9 lives is sort of a more win the game immediately version of this.
Funny card.
9 lives is an enchantment for 1 white. It is hexproof. If a source would deal damage to you, prevent that damage and put an incarnation counter on 9 lives. When there are 9 or more incarnation counters on 9 lives, exile it. When 9 lives leaves the battlefield, you lose the game.
Yikes.
So it sets a very real clock on you, which you can take some damage for, and then once it becomes dangerous, you can give it away and have an opponent lose the game.
Yeah. Also, if you just have any destroy all enchantment effects,
yeah,
just instantly kill the person.
Rid of 9 lives.
Yeah. Notably, you can activate Stiltskin at instant speed too.
You can, yes.
Yeah. Grafted Skill Cap is the very rude version of this. It's a 4 mana artifact. At the beginning of your draw step, draw a card, and then on your end step, discard your hand.
So you draw 2, but you discard your hand.
Yeah, that sucks.
The other ones that are a little bit less rude are the Jinxed cycle, Jinxed Idol, Jinxed Choker, and Jinxed Ring. Most of them do some sort of negative thing to you and give them an ability to give themselves away.
Yeah.
So like Jinxed Idol says, sacrifice a creature, target opponent gains control of Jinxed Idol. But sacrificing a creature is a pretty big cost. So luckily the Moogle just lets you give it away.
Yeah, and then
they gave it back to you, give it away
give
again.
it away. And draw every time you give it away too.
Yeah. So those are like sort of the drawback cards that you can give your opponents, but there's definitely other things you can give them. The next thing I was thinking was just like stuff that you've sort of used the value on.
Yeah, I like this a lot. Basalt Monolith, any of those types of cards that cost a lot to untap, even like a Mana Vault.
Sure.
You give it to them. If they want to pay 3 mana to untap it to get 3 mana, their mana equal on it.
Right.
And you may not want it back anytime soon, but you get a card from it because let's say you have nothing in your hand that you want to cast, so that costs more and you don't have that mana to untap it. I like that a lot.
Noble's Purse is one I put in a lot of decks because it just makes a lot of crap. This is a 2-mana artifact that comes into the battlefield tapped with 3 coin counters on it.
Yep.
You can tap it to remove a coin counter from it to make a treasure token, and eventually you'll remove all the coin counters and you have this empty coin purse. So you can give away treasures, sure. Give them a little treasure, you draw a card. That's a little bit of value.
Yeah.
Or eventually you can just give someone the purse.
Yeah. Howling Mind is hilarious. It's definitely fine in the mono white deck. You don't need it on your side of the battlefield for it to do its thing.
Yeah,
So
start giving away symmetrical effects. Here,
Yeah.
you hold this deafening silence.
Yeah, and it already does the effect, right? Is universal across the table. Same with Deafening Silence. I love that a lot.
Yeah, it says each player can't cast more than a non-creature spell each turn. You're like, it affects me whether I have it or you have it. So
And
here
then
you go.
give them the Golem so they can't cast creatures either. Hey. I mean, imagine the most competitive player in the game having a Deafening Silence and a Steel Golem on their side of the battlefield.
And a Howling Mind. So you can draw so many cards.
And the thing that makes them discard their hand. Yeah, there
It's
you
not
go.
a combo with Rust Golem, but Extra Planar Lens is another one that you can
right.
play it. You can exile one of your, usually it's a snow-covered plains.
Yeah.
And then it doubles the mana that a snow-covered plains makes. Likely your opponents aren't playing any snow-covered plains, but if you give it away, you still get your lands doubled, even though you don't control the plains anymore.
Yeah, I like
Excuse
that.
the lens anymore.
The lens, yeah. That's why you play snow covered usually,
Right.
because no one else is going to have snow covered.
Right.
Zenith Chronicler, whenever a player casts their first multicolor spell each turn, each other player draws a card.
Creatures are a
Nice.
little bit more dangerous to give away. They're
Yeah, they can attack
easier.
with it.
They can attack with it. They can chump block with it. They're very easy to sacrifice. But this is a pretty powerful symmetrical effect you can give away.
Yeah, I like it.
You can distribute the wealth with Stiltskin using something like an Ariet's Tempting Apple. You play it. You can steal a creature from an opponent until end of turn. You can give away the creature you've just stolen, and
someone
they
else.
keep it permanently.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yes. So there's not a ton of threatened effects in mono white, but
Yeah, there's
Ariet's
only a
Tempting
couple.
Apple is very funny because you can steal it, you can give it away, and then you can donate the apple.
That's so funny.
Redistribute the wealth.
Yeah, Helm of Possession is a similar thing. You do have to sack something to do so, but you may have creatures to sack at this
Yeah.
point, yeah.
But like if you're building more of a token strategy, because donating tokens is kind of
Yeah.
an easy thing to do, then you can steal creatures and donate them to other people and,
they come back.
make a friend.
Make a friend or an enemy. In a 1v1 scenario, a lot of these cards get way worse, by the way. Preacher is the classic 1 white tap, gain control of a target creature, and then you can choose not to untap it.
Yeah, you can choose not to untap it, or you can give it away and untap it and steal another thing and give it away.
Yeah.
That's just, messing up everybody's plans. It's more of a chaos build of this.
There are a couple of cards, too, in artifacts that allow you to untap creatures. So Patriarch Seal does it for legendaries, and there's a couple others. So
Yeah.
you may have a bunch of things that you want to untap in this deck, and I think Stiltskin being able to give multiple things away a turn is pretty funny.
The other thing you can donate is just stuff that's going to go away at end of turn anyway.
Yeah.
Myriad tokens, like we said, at instant speed, you can donate stuff.
Oh, right. They can do their damage, they'll do the whole thing, and then you give it away.
You can donate them before they exile, and they will be exiled at end of turn. You're not giving them a Myriad token.
It's stacked on top of the Myriad.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So Battle Angels of Tyr is very funny in that way.
Yeah. Mobilized tokens as well will be sacrificed and at the end of turn.
Yeah, Voice of Victory is actually a card that seems to be coming up quite a bit now.
Mm-hmm.
It says your opponents can't cast spells during your turn, and it has Mobilized too.
It's a good one.
So you can make a bunch of those tokens, give them away. But even just by itself, it's pretty good.
Right. If you want to steal them back, if you want to give them like real cards away in the early game and actually play politics and then slam a homeward path and gain control of all your creatures again at the end step, that is a way you can build this deck.
Yeah.
A very funny one to give away is one that keeps coming home to you.
Oh, Salt Skidder.
This
That's
is cool,
hilarious.
right?
Yeah, whenever another creature enters the battlefield, exile it and then return it to play under its owner's control. Keyword being owner. You owned it.
So it's like it's like a pet snake that you give your neighbor and then it just keeps coming home.
Yeah.
So you can give it away multiple times and that way you're not just losing cards in this deal.
These next two cards are absolutely hilarious.
They're very fun.
Only play them in a deck like this. Despotic Scepter, 1 mana, tap, destroy target permanent you own. It can't be regenerated.
Yep.
So you can blow it up.
Tel'Gelad Stylus does the same thing.
Tucks it.
Put it on the bottom of your library. That's true.
It's kind of funny because you can use this as a politic deck, give them the thing that, and then, hold them ransom.
If you use it against me, I will kill it.
Yeah. Or if you truly need to do this thing right now, I'll get rid of it. But in that case, what do I get out of it type of thing? Otherwise, you just keep it, And they're 1 mana artifacts, so they're pretty easy to get out and just hold around.
All right. So those are ways to sort of steal them back. I think the best way to steal things back is blink spells.
Yeah.
Because white has a number of things that, as long as it says exile target creature and then it returns it to play under its owner's control, it does exactly what you want it to do, and you'll get that ETB ability.
Or in a couple of these cases, they'll say exile a creature you own. So like Sword of Hearth and Home and Charming Prince both exile another creature you own.
You're the owner, even if you're not the controller.
Yeah. Very funny.
So Parting Gust will allow you to do this. You can exile a creature that you've given an opponent and get it back to your side. Sword of Hearth and Home, Flicker Wisp, or Charming Prince are sort of big ones. But there's a lot of different versions of this kind of effect. Just keep an eye on, make sure you can target stuff that you don't control and make sure it returns under your control. It's also great to have an ETB creature, get its value, like a Wall of Omens ETB, draw a card, donate the Wall of Omens, and then use one of your Flicker abilities to get it back.
And then get the ETB again.
Yeah. So I think Blink is going to be one of the most reliable ways to build this. And you can actually play politics where you're like, I'll donate you a Wall of Omens you can chump with. And you can play
and
those
instant
kind of
speed, again, they can be in a dangerous combat. A lightning's coming at them. They're like, all right, take my Wall of Omens.
Take my Wall of Omens. I'm a friend.
I'm the merchant.
I think that'll be the way that I would build this deck if I was going to build Stiltskin.
It's not a matter of if, but when with you.
Right? It's mono white and it's neat.
Yeah, I kind of want to build Stiltskin after talking about it now.
It's very fun. It's got some interesting things going on. The EDH rec page for Stiltskin has a lot of catch-up mechanics, sort of like your Beza deck, where it gives stuff away to play cards that catch you back up again.
Oh, okay.
And I
don't know if that's the way necessarily to go with this deck.
I wanted to address it because it does feel a little weird to give a land away so that you can play a Loyal Warhound to get a land again. Now you've paid 4 mana to draw a card and have a Loyal Warhound that didn't really do anything but put you back to 0.
Yeah, and lands are not the type of thing you want to give away in a monocolored deck either.
Very, very powerful to give your opponents that kind of thing. And it's very difficult to gain control of again.
Yeah.
If you want to play that specific kind of deck, have a way to punish your opponents for having a lot of lands. There's Cleansing does it, which is cool. Or you could do the, it's the Karma Urborg thing where you punish them for having a lot of swamps. But in the meantime, you better have a plan for dealing with your opponents that have a lot of extra mana.
Yeah.
But you can play Beza the Bounding Spring or Keeper of the Accord, which gets you things when you're behind. I think Keeper of the Accord is just kind of good in this deck anyway. When you're low on, when your opponents have more creatures, you get a creature. When your opponents have more lands, you get a land.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I would give away my lands to get a land back.
No, and I mean, if your pod is super ramp heavy, then these cards just are good. Even if you do play a Beza in this deck, giving away a 1/1's not so bad. But I think the fun is giving away things that you're building the deck around.
Yeah. Give them a fish. That's fun. Or you could punish them for having more things than you after you gave them those things.
Yeah.
With Ward of Bones.
There you go.
I used to play this in Feldergriff, and I took it out because it's too rude, but it's 6 mana artifact. It says each opponent who controls more creatures than you can't play creatures. The same is true for artifacts, enchantments, and lands.
Yeah, it keeps everything to a bit of a standstill.
If you have more lands than me, you don't get lands. If you have more creatures than me, you can't play creatures.
Yeah.
So it doesn't exactly move the game forward, but if you're in a kind of playgroup that would enjoy sort of playing a weird old card, there you throw a Ward of Bones in.
I'd say the danger of the Stiltskin deck is not having a win con, so make sure that is a part of your strategy.
Yes.
All right, let's talk about another precon commander. It's the last one for the day. It's Yuna Grand Samana.
She is.
She's grand. It's 1 in Bant for a 1/5 legendary human cleric. You can tap her to add 1 mana of any color. When you next cast a creature spell this turn, that creature enters with 2 additional 1/1 counters on it. And then whenever another permanent you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, if it had 1 or more counters on it, you may put that number of 1/1 counters on target creature. So you're putting that, you're not moving the counters, you're just adding, if it had 5 1/1 counters on it, you put 5 1/1 counters on something else.
It's also sort of interesting because it says whenever a permanent you control is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, if it had any kind of counters on it, convert those into +1/+1 counters.
Exactly.
So like if a Dark Depths goes to the graveyard, you can put 10 +1 counters onto a creature you control.
Yeah.
Even though like those are nice counters.
If you have flying counter or a vigilance counter, it gets converted into 1/1 counters.
So there's definitely some interesting tricks with Yuna. I think the most common build is going to be a pretty straightforward +1/+1 counter deck where you're using Yuna to cast creatures that care about having counters on them.
Yeah, I think playing too hard into the cute, I can turn other things into 1/1 counters is not going to build a better deck. It'll just build one that does some funny things sometimes.
Yeah, which is totally fair, but you do have to figure out how to get those things into your graveyard. So let's just talk about stuff that just makes a ton of counters regardless of what they are. First. So Forgotten Ancient is like sort of classic, makes a ton of +1 counters, lets you move them around. It's good in decks that play stuff that can turn +1 counters into value. Communal Brewing, I think, is a cool version in this deck because it has counters on itself and puts counters onto creatures.
Yeah, and notably, no matter what opponents decide, you will always at least get 1 additional 1/1 counter as a result of Communal Brewing. It's kind of a often misunderstood card.
So now your creatures have more counters on them, and if your Communal Brewing gets blown up, then you can put those counters onto creatures as well.
Yep. Bulwark Ox, a new one from Aether Drift, is a really fun one. It's Appa before Appa. It's 1 and a white for a 2/2. Whenever it attacks while saddled, you put a 1/1 counter on target creature. But more importantly, you can sack it to give creatures you control with counters on them hexproof and indestructible until end of turn.
So I like this one a lot because it makes counters, but it also sacks itself. So you have some control over like, okay, I'm going to sacrifice the Bulwark Ox and I'm going to move the counters at instant speed.
Yeah, I like that.
So anything that makes a lot of counters and can destroy itself was something that I was looking at. Like Phyrexian Devourer is really funny in a deck like
this. Never seen this before.
It is 6 mana construct that says when its power is 7 or greater, sacrifice it. And it has 1 power.
Yeah.
Remove the top card of your library from the game, put X +1/+1 counters on Phyrexian Devourer, where X is the removed card's converted mana cost. If the power is 7 or greater, sacrifice it. So you can eat a bunch of cards from your library and put like 20 counters on this thing easily, and you like essentially exile 10 cards to your library or something.
In response to it saying, "Hey, I got to sacrifice," you can be like, "All right, let's keep removing stuff."
You're like, "No, I'm going to eat more cards and put more counters on it." And you have Yuna in the command zone that says, "Great, when you die, I'll distribute all those +1 counters at instant speed."
Yeah, this could be a don't block my commander. Guess what? You die. Because I would just exile a bunch of stuff. I'm holding up a Bulwark Ox or some kind of protection spell, and I'm going to get this to the point where it has 20 1/1 counters on it. Yuna gets all of them. One-shot someone.
It's pretty neat. I think having this sort of like, I have the potential to put 30 counters on the board on any creature at instant speed is going to be very interesting to play against.
It's a 6-drop, but it's cool because Yuna also is a mana dork.
Investigator's Journal is similar. This is a 2-mana artifact that when it enters the battlefield with a number of suspect counters on it equal to the greatest number of creatures a player controls.
How suspicious.
Then you can pay 2 to remove a counter and draw, but you can also pay 2 to sacrifice the journal to draw a card.
Hey.
So it comes in with like 4 or 5 counters on it. You can pay 2, like crack it like a clue, draw a card, and put 4 counters on something at instant speed.
Yeah, it's great. Or you can slowly draw cards off it. But yeah, this is really fun. There's a couple of cards that just add a ton of counters on things and are looking to get all the way up to 1 billion. The Millennium Calendar and Vexing Puzzle Box. Vexing Puzzle Box is a mana rock that adds it based on your D20 roll, and then Millennium Calendar is just going to, whenever you untap stuff, you add counters on it, and you can double it for 2.
Right.
So this is another way to just get someone to the point where they can one-shot someone if you can sack the Millennium Calendar.
Yeah, that's the big hitch here, is you do have to figure out a way to get those to go from the battlefield to the graveyard, which isn't necessarily easy in banned colors, but it would be cool if you can pull it off.
Yeah.
Stocking the Pantry is another one that I just put in a deck recently. It's a single green for an enchantment. Whenever you put one or more +1/+1 counters on a creature you control, put a supply counter on Stocking the Pantry.
Wow.
Then you can pay 2, remove a supply counter, and draw a card. So if you can get Stocking the Pantry into the graveyard, you can put more counters on it. And in the meantime, it's a thing with counters on it that is drawing you cards.
Yeah, this is probably a Hardened Scales deck, but I do like cards that are Hardened Scales, plus actually we like the fact that we have more counters. So Kami of Whispered Hopes is 2 in a green. If one more 1/1 counters we put on the permanent, that many +1 are put on instead. And then you pay X, you tap it to add X mana of any one color where X is its power. So if you cast this with Yuna, it comes in with 3 1/1 counters.
Nice.
And it's already a 4/4 and taps for 4.
Yeah.
Incubation Druid is a similar card that when it has 1/1 counters on it, it adds 3 mana instead of 1 mana.
Right. Crystalline Crawler says...
this card must be insane in this deck.
I mean, yeah. It says remove a +1/+1 counter from Crystalline Crawler, add 1 mana of any color, and it has Converge, so it enters with +1 counters equal to the number of colors of mana that were spent to cast it, and you can tap it to put counters on it. Yeah. So if you cast it with Bant, this enters with 3 counters on it. With Yuna, it enters with 5 counters on it.
And you can instantly remove 5 to get 5 mana
to get
back.
5 mana back. So you're already up mana if you've cast it with Yuna. Feels very powerful. It's also a great place to put like these huge bursts of counters that we're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
For like a Phyrexian Devourer or even Communal Brewing, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It just converts those counters into something that you can use right away.
Yeah. And that's the kind of thing that wins you the game too on the spot,
Right.
because now all of a sudden you made 40 mana in one turn and could do everything you needed to. You cast a giant Walking Ballista or whatever.
Yeah, if you cast like a huge Market Back Walker as well, this is the new one that when it dies, you draw cards equal to the number of counters on it. Hypothetically, you already have ways to sacrifice artifacts in the deck.
Yeah.
If you're doing this like big tricks counter thing. So Market Back Walker should be something that you have control over when it dies and when you draw those cards. But if you want something you have a little bit more control over, Etched Oracle says 1 and remove 4 +1 counters from it. Target player draws 3 cards.
Nice.
So this is just a great, it also has Sunburst, so it'll enter with 3 naturally, 5 with your commander in play.
Yeah, it only costs 1 to activate, which is really solid too.
Yeah, to draw 3 cards, sweet.
Yeah. I mean, if you put like 21 counters on this and you activate this 5 times, like that's super sick.
Yeah, that is, so those are like the big things. That's where I'd expect all of the counters to wind up. Or just something with Trample to kill your opponents. That is another move, of course.
Yeah, or Wabba, let's just go infinite.
Yeah, there's
gotta
combos.
be. Anytime someone says, oh, come in with this many and I do this and this thing and I can untap and do it again.
Yeah, so your commander's interesting because it has tap, add mana, and then add an instance of +2 counters coming onto a creature.
Yeah.
So if you put something like a Pemin's Aura on it that says blue : untap enchanted creature. So you make blue with your commander, you spend the blue to untap her, and the next creature that you cast is going to come in with 2 +1/+1 counters on it. And then you do that again and 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 cast a Walking Ballista.
Or a Market Back Walker, and then you sack it, and then you put
You draw your whole deck.
Your whole deck and do the deck thing. Yeah.
Freed from the Real, Pemin's Aura both do the same thing, is going to give you a creature with infinite counters on it.
Yep.
Walking Ballista is particularly good because you can cast it for 0 and kill the whole table on the spot.
Yeah, what about that? Does Kinnan also make her add an additional mana?
Yes,
Yeah,
I would
and then you can-
expect.
And then
that.
you can do the Kinnan plus Pemin's Free from the Real. Now you are adding extra mana to your mana
Right.
pool. Yeah, and you can play that. What's that thing that like is just if you have 100 things on it, you win the game. It's like a mana.
Helix Pinnacle.
Helix Pinnacle, yeah. you can-
Yes.
Helix Pinnacle deck.
Helix Pinnacle is cool because you can sack Helix Pinnacle and put that
put
many
the
+1 counters, and you might win the
yeah.
game with Helix Pinnacle.
Yeah, and then you probably do an Ozolith thing somewhere in here. Yeah, there's a lot of different ways to go about this. This is just a commander that if you see it come down, you need to know if the infinite is there.
Right. And I think if you're playing this deck and you're not playing the infinite, be very clear where you're like, I'm not trying to combo off. I'm just playing Yuna. I'm making big stuff.
Yeah.
Because that's a very different deck. But this is an interesting one. I think this +1 counter deck is, I would really picture it being like, it's trying to make one big thing rather than like a lot of big things. It can do both. But if you're trying to focus your attention on like how you're building Yuna, I would say like, I want to have one tower of counters that can do really cool stuff.
And be aware, if Yuna's gone, it feels glass cannon-y unless you have redundancy effects. But the building so much around it's so fun to move stuff here and there, and my deck relies on that happening, you may end up in disappointment if Yuna just dies a bunch.
Oh, I didn't mention this. This leans into the Yuna thing a little bit more, but Untappers is great for Yuna because now anytime, like, you don't have to go infinite with Pem and Zora or Freed from the Real, you can just
tap her twice.
Untap her, tap her twice. The next creature you cast has 4 counters on her. So that's really fun.
Yeah, again, Patriarch Seal, if you Oracle tag that, you'll find a bunch of different versions of it.
Alrighty. Those are the commanders that we're going to talk about for Final Fantasy. It was a lot. There's a lot of sweet ones, a lot of really flavorful things. So hopefully we hit the one that you want us to talk about. If we didn't, let us know in the comments. We're happy to start a conversation and make sure that people are talking about the commanders that you want to hear. But there were a lot of them.
There's a lot of them. Yeah, the set is going to see you're going to see, the best part about this is that you're not going to see the same 5 Sauron decks.
Definitely not, yeah.
You're going to see a lot of decks get brewed as a result of this.
Hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah. And I think there'll be a fun, new, interesting, diverse meta as a result.
All right, let's get into it. Before we go, we want to talk about what our favorite commanders from this episode, and of course the most powerful, but we always start with favorite.
My favorite commander is Choco, because I built a deck around Choco.
It's cool.
Yeah, I built a bird deck around Choco. Probably my second favorite might be Rumpelstiltskin.
Yeah, Stiltskin's cool.
Because Stiltskin's really funny. But yeah, I built a deck around Choco. I like Bant decks that aren't just like a Bant deck. Mm-hmm. So this allows me to be a creature-based Bant deck that also has landfall in it. So I'm still hitting my land drops. Good times. How about you?
I really like Sid. I'm still trying to figure out how exactly I would want to build it. I don't know if I have room in my heart for another... you can play as many of these things decks. I have
Dragon's
one.
Approach.
I have Dragon's Approach already. I've brewed a couple of different things, but they're hard to get into paper because they're expensive.
Yeah, I do like though the crazy black-green thing that
it's
was
cool.
going on
You can
with
definitely
your,
like bring a bunch back
version.
and die and have like this weird combo turn.
Yeah.
I've always liked cycling too, and Astral Slide and Astral Drift. So finding a way to make those work, I think, is really fun.
Okay. All right. How about most powerful commander? I think mine's going to be a match between Emmett Selk and Kefka Court Mage.
Yeah.
They're different. They're powerful in different ways. I see Emmett Selk as just having just so much value, and just, again, the full graveyard commander synergy is very scary.
Yeah, I think Kefka for me is going to be the one that is the most dangerous across the table from you. Mm-hmm. If somebody sits down with MXL, I'm like, I'm going to keep an eye on that for sure. Yeah. But if Kefka hits the table, you're like, okay, we have to murder you. Them, or this game is over.
Because they're denying you resources at the same time.
Right. So Kefka Court Mage, I think, is going to be my most powerful for this episode. But we did talk about even more powerful commanders in the other episode where we talk about Final Fantasy. So if we didn't talk about the one you want to hear, go to that episode.
Does anything get close to Vivi in this episode? Probably
I don't think
not.
So.
No, yeah.
I don't think so. To the listeners, which commanders do you think are the most powerful commanders in the set? Which ones do you think are the most iconic? Did we miss any? Are you planning on building any of the commanders that we talked about today? Let us know if there's any sweet tech we missed.
Yeah.
We got to do research on a lot of different commanders. I try and do deep dives on every single one, but it is tough. So if you found a cute
sweet
little piece, let us know.
Yeah, and of course, if you want to pick up any of these cards or cards from the future or the past, cardkingdom.com/command. Just type that affiliate link into your browser, and you will have access to Card Kingdom's amazing catalog of cards. So whether or not you're trying to buy some sealed product from Final Fantasy, some play boosters to draft with, or you want to get some pre-orders in for Edge of Eternities, or get some cards you missed from Ether Drift or any of the other sets that released last year, cardkingdom.com/command is going to be able to suit your needs and also deliver all those cards to you in one convenient package to your doorstep. So you get them all, you can sleeve them all up, and you can play your Final Fantasy deck as soon as possible. I know a lot of people are really excited about this set, and I am too. I'm excited to see the new cards across the table from me. There are a lot of decks that are going to be upgraded with some of the sweet pieces of tech from this one. So use that affiliate link, support the show, cardkingdom.com/command.
And once those cards are in your hand, you're going to need to keep them safe, keep them protected, keep them looking Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
Go to ultrapro.com/command for the highest quality Magic accessories in the business. You can get sleeves, you can get deck boxes, you can get binders. If you're a Final Fantasy fan, now is the time to go to the Ultra Pro website and check out what they've got, because these are not going to stay on the website very long.
For sure, these are going to sell out.
Magic fans are going to be going to the site, as are Final Fantasy fans. So if you're interested in any kind of Ultra Pro stuff, go to our affiliate link and start shopping. Don't wait for them, because I don't anticipate they're going to be on the website very long.
Yeah, they may not even be by the time we say this. Hopefully, there will be some restocks on the way. I know for sure that everyone would like to sell more because this is just one of those really fun, exciting sets. So hopefully more stuff is on there. Check it out ASAP.
ultrapro.com/command supports the show. Before we
right.
go, time to say thank you to our amazing team here at the Command Zone for who make this giant episode and all of the other ones
possible. Thank you so much.
Thank you to Rachel Kendra, Karina Cruz, Sebastian Salazar, Gaurav Galati, Jamie Block, Jordan Pridgeon, Jake Boss, Eric Lem, Manson Lung, Josh Murphy, Evan Limburger, Sam Waldo, Josh Lee Kwai, and to you for watching all of this Final Fantasy content. If you missed any of the episodes, go back and check them out. We put a lot of effort into this set because we know
Rachel
it
does.
is-
Give her a shout out.
Give me a
Send
shout
Rachel
out.
some love in the chat.
But we put a lot into Final Fantasy because we know you're excited about it. So hopefully you enjoyed our Final Fantasy stuff. But we'll see you next time for some non-Final Fantasy related content.
But we'll probably talk about Final Fantasy cards in that one too. All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Peace out.